2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Perfect. What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, Tony Dunn, the professor. And it's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Great show for you tonight. Tonight's show's title is CJ Henderson, a better Fitterer in Carolina. The Carolina Panthers are about to place J.C. Horn on IR and have made what to many fans and what I think will be to this panel a big-time trade, one that is not only exciting because of the player we got, but because of the decisiveness of action that this front office took in the face of injury. So it's not the only injury we got to talk about J.C. Horn. The only subject is not going to be CJ Henderson. We've got to look ahead to the Dallas Cowboys, and we've got some great guests tonight helping us do this. We've got John Shipley from the JagReport coming on to help us find out who we're getting in J.C. Horn. And we've got Paul Catalina from the Bleav in Cowboys podcast at 9:35 to help us preview this game. So it's going to be a fun time, and we want you to be a part of it. The number's 252-228-5098. You can get in on the cat calls. Cody Lastney, I haven't seen you since Thursday night. I talked to you a little bit on Friday, had some things come up, could not make it to the Friday free-for-all, and I still have some things to say to defend my honor tonight anyway. It's great to see you, man. How you doing?
Hey, man, you already know that there is nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting here with the boys talking about the best damn team in the NFL. These Carolina Panthers, you already know what it is. Tony Dunn, Scott Fitterer has not stopped working since the moment he has been hired. We thought J.C. Horn going down was going to be a big deal for the rest of our season, potentially. Some of us even thought more so than Christian McCaffrey. But, man, we have brought in another first-round pick on a fifth-year deal. We have so much to talk about. But, Tony, you already know we're going to do it with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube. I'm talking about 336 Grizz, Zach Simmons, Brady Wise, popping bullets, Underground West, Justin, my man, JD, what's up? AJ Lindsay, Tin Tizzy, Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, Tony Dunn. It's a Tuesday night. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
We're starting with the fire from Grim Reaper. Thanks right away from the $20 super chat. As Cody says, we don't ask for it, but we appreciate it. But what I will ask for you is your support by smashing the thumbs up button, the subscribe, checking us out on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, all of that. We've had a tremendous response, particularly part of this is because, the Panthers are doing well, but part of it is because the work that these cats on this podcast have been putting in. And one of those men is CK. How you doing, my friend?
Living the dream, man. As always, just Excited to be 3-0 going into a week where we're going to be facing, honestly, probably our toughest challenge of the season. So I think a good little preview about what we're going to be expecting on Sunday is going to be important for a lot of the people in the chat, and maybe even recapping what we saw last night on Monday Night Football. So, yeah, I'm ready to get into it, man.
Fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and start with the first of John Shipley at 9:15. So we got to pack in some stuff in the next 11 minutes. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and bring up CJ, Matt. Let's hear what happened, though, today from Matt Rule, and I think it's going to lead us all into these conversations in about 45 seconds of talk.
Sure.
Matt, I don't know if y'all have announced this yet or not, but any word on IR for JC and Christian?
Yeah, we haven't done that yet. Christian won't go on IR. I would expect that we would put JC on here either, at some point this week. Scott will handle that. But JC will obviously have surgery and be out for a while. Christian, we don't see him in that light.
Do you have a better feel for his timetable after seeing the diagnostics?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I think it's all going to depend on how quickly he comes around in terms of recovering from it. So it'll be like anything else. I'll just trust the doctors and trainers to tell me when he's ready to go.
We'll go to David Newton with the next question.
David Newton always with the hardest hitting questions.
I had to unmute. Can you clarify when you say JC out for a while, you feel like this is season ending or?
It potentially could be. He could come back, later in the season. So I think, with JC, I think we have to be really smart about bringing him back. Making sure that he's healthy, making sure that his return to play is done, the right way. So I just can't predict that at this point. So I'm sure knowing JC Horn, like his mindset will be that, hey, I'm coming back to play, and then if he's ready, he's ready, and if he's not, he's not. We won't put him in harm's way. We'll let the doctors and everyone tell us when he's ready to go.
One more question from David Newton.
Does this trade, in your mind, have to do with the win now mentality?
I don't know what win now. I mean, we try to win every game. CJ Henderson's someone that we've liked a long time. So, I think anytime you have a chance to get a top 15 draft pick from the year before, it's just very unique. So, as I said, we did so much work on him last year because, we were looking for defensive players. This was, in that year's draft that, this to me, I don't know if anything matters other than just, hey, we have a chance to get a corner. And if you go back and look from our first game, like our starting nickel from that first game, the five guys are out there playing DB. There's only two guys left, Dante and Chin. So, JB's banged up.
All right. So he believes that CJ Henderson, first, he doesn't understand what win now is. Actually, he does understand win now more than anything. What he understands it is in a different context that David Newton was asking. That's the one thing. And then the second thing is we went out and got a player in CJ Henderson after it looks like JC Horn, or not looks like, is going to be out for the remainder of the season. That's what I mean. The writing seems to be on the wall. A freak injury to the foot that likely requires surgery. And that the Panthers are interested in protecting him as well as JC Horn. And because of the pedigree of Joe Horn, they know exactly as how much is on the line in protecting your body and investing in yourself for the future. So I don't think that they're going to be scared or in a position where they need financially to rush back themselves.
Right.
So we go and get CJ Henderson, who was a top prospect in the Derek Brown draft. If Derek Brown wasn't going to be there, it was rumored that Carolina Panthers were going after CJ Henderson. Cody, what do you remember about CJ Henderson from that draft, and what do you think about this trade now?
Yeah, so CJ Henderson was the number 16th rated player on my top 100 player big board. So this is a top 20 pick, in my opinion, from that 2020 draft, or 2019 rather. And listen, when losing JC Horn to not only get the best man cover corner in this year's draft, but then to go back and get the best man cover corner from last year's draft as well, and you're only giving up a 3rd-round pick. Oh, yeah, by the way, we also have the 5th-year option for this young man too. I think it's been obvious for a long time that he was done playing in Jacksonville. It had been rumored for a while about CJ Henderson potentially being traded. And now that we've seen this happen, the news has come out that the Panthers and the Jaguars had apparently been in discussions about CJ since preseason. So now that J.C. Horn goes down, this move doesn't surprise me at all. The one thing that I think we have to worry about, and again, I don't know if there's any truth to any of these rumors, but the one thing that I do hear from Jacksonville fans is there's a worry that the man just doesn't love to play football, and that he had even kind of mulled over retirement even, and he's only like 1 year into his career. I think we're all hoping that, he just needs a change of scenery and a brand new environment. I'm here to tell you what CJ Henderson did at Florida whenever he went up against Jamar Chase, who's now playing with the Bengals, who was, in the eyes of many, the number 1 wide receiver in that draft class. Jamar Chase absolutely dominated all of the corner opposition that he went up against, except for CJ Henderson. CJ Henderson was a shutdown corner all year, the best cover corner in the AC. And listen, thinking in the future about having that potential tandem of J.C. Horn and C.J. Henderson on both sides of our offensive line, and you throw in Jeremy Chin, and I know we're going to talk about Dante Jackson. In my mind, this doesn't exclude the possibility of Dante Jackson maybe signing for some more money to play on a 1 or 2 year deal. I would love to see him move to that nickel corner position. We don't know if he wants to play there, but I think for the next foreseeable future, the Panthers' defensive backfield is tremendously better because of this trade.
Here is the kind of sequence of events. Really, it's this Twitter thread that I've seen most of the traction from when it comes to the idea that CJ Henderson, that kind of doesn't love football type thing. It's from E_Dilla. It says mostly he's got a lot of personal issues and only likes to play football like never, usually. He actually contemplated retirement this offseason. Getting away from Florida is what he needs, though. But if you follow the thread some more, what he went on to say is that he heard that Urban and Charlie had to personally go to CJ house the other day to get him to the facility. The team's trying, but then the news continued, and this shows you like how much the fan of rumor mill can happen. Is that Charlie Strong acknowledges he and Meyer went to go CJ Henderson to have a conversation about where he was at and making sure he was ready to get back in the flow. So it wasn't that he didn't come back to the team, but then you get this, and then you see one other thing, and this is let me see if I can find this one. Can you guys see that all right on the screen?
Yeah. When they drafted him, he looked depressed.
Everybody else is pumped, and this dude's like, crap. I am going to Jacksonville.
That's funny, dude. That's funny, man. Even shout out to AJ Lindsay, who mentions Jalen Ramsey didn't love playing cornerback in Jacksonville either. So
courtesy, big shout out to Tyler Stafford at Tyler10Staff on Twitter, who was the one that sent me that thread about CJ Henderson and the kind of issues surrounding him. He struggled with a groin injury last year. He's been on a team that historically has been atrocious, and historically has had dudes that have wanted to get the hell out of there. Right. I mean, it's not just Jalen Ramsey or whoever it was. It was a couple of defensive people or a lot of people. So, and it seems to be a mess there. CK, before our guest gets here, let's go ahead and tune the conversation to this. What do you think that this type of action signals, or does it mean anything to you as a fan when you see the Panthers front office 3-0? really not having problems with injuries in the beginning in the first three, but it's starting to get riddled. But there seems to be a good opportunity. We're actually in the lead of the damn division right now. Does this mean anything to a fan right now about what does it mean to you, should I say?
I mean, it means a couple of things. I think that this is a very, 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 very smart decision, as these guys are. Let's talk about it. If we're going to have the conversation about CJ, we got to have the conversation about Dante Jackson. And if there is a chance that we bring Dante Jackson back, this is a negotiating tactic, right? This is something that's going to allow our front office to be able to tell Dante, we don't need you. We'd love to have you, but we have these other alternatives here. And so there is a chance that Dante returns, but I think this is a kind of a writing on the wall that maybe in a contract year where Dante is playing very well, that a rookie deal is more conducive for the, for our future moving forward. Now, that being said, as far as what it means for the team right this second, it means that, as silly as the question of win now mentality is, like, as much as, Matt Rule wants to question it, and this is not me defending David Newton, but the truth of the matter is this would not have been a trade they made last year in the exact same situation. Like, had they still had Teddy Bridgewater, they were not in a win now. I mean, they were still trying to win, don't get me wrong, but they weren't in a position where, I know it wasn't Scott Fitterer, but, I don't think that this is something that our organization would have done last year. So I think that truly this is a win now mentality. And it is when we saw him go down, when we saw JC Horn go down, our coaching staff was like, there's a big hole because we have no depth at cornerback outside of the two starters now, which would be AJ and Dante. Outside of that, it's very thin. And so with this situation, I think it allowed them to maybe go into the season, especially going into a high-powered offense like Dallas can be, where it may be a shootout, where we may have to actually try to stop their offense in some way, shape, or form. Then this is going to be something that I think is going to give them a little more comfort going into that game.
Cody, is this a breath of fresh air to you, to a changing of mentality, where the prospect of winning is always some other time?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Rule has really made it a point to say winning teams continuously win football games, and that it doesn't matter, injuries, whatever. Good football teams win football games, and you really start to see that mantra being acted upon throughout the front office, throughout the coaching staff. And hey, baby, the Carolina Panthers are undefeated. I don't know if y'all need any reminding, but I'm telling you what, man, I'm loving what Scott Fitterer is doing, and I think that we've been very honest about Fitterer. We're willing to be open and say when he's had his misses, like Perriman and Reddick and Elflin. But, probably not Reddick. Reddick has been balls out. Perriman, I meant to say. But then,
who is on the top, 5 of tackles in the NFL right now.
Yeah, crazy, which is insane. But I do think that when you look at these moves, they understand the value and what our defense is doing right now. I mean, shout out to Ivan C in the chat. He just put no fly zone incoming. Think about some of the legendary defensive backfields of the past few years. The Legion of Boom, and then the no fly zone, and these really tight cornerbacks and these hard hitting safeties. When you add Jeremy Chin into that mix, the Panthers now have a very, very dynamic, talented, young defensive backfield. And listen, we need him, man, because we're going to talk about is this team legit or not based on who the Panthers have beaten. The Dallas Cowboys and their offense represents the biggest test for this Carolina Panthers defense. And the fact that we're still going to be able to man them up and put a hat on a hat, that is a big deal for us right now. And because of this move, Tony, the Panthers defense have no excuse to lose any steam whatsoever.
John Shipley join us any moment. He just messaged me that his internet was crapped out. It won't be long. Now, when we go to this, is one of the things that's awesome about this is the youth movement that continues for this Carolina Panthers defense, right, is not only are they reloading, retooling, they're staying young, fast, and awesome. I hope awesome. As JC Horn was playing so great, I'm going to need, I'm not just going to all of a sudden crown CJ Henderson any moment. But right before we get into bringing our guest, I want to bring this point up, is that I saw Bill Belichick talking about the nature of his team and how this was a young team. And he goes, we got a lot of 26 to 28-year-olds. And I was like, wait a second. You want to know a young team, homie? Yeah, those are veterans on this squad. Those are old that we're trying to move on from. So interesting thing. All right, let's go ahead and bring in our guest, John Shipley from the Jaguar Report, SI reporter. And I would say the most prolific writer on CJ Henderson that I have found on the internet. John Shipley, welcome to the C3 Panthers podcast.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm excited to be on and can't thank you guys enough for, having me.
So the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars have opposite records and now have dealt in a trade. Dan Arnold goes for CJ Henderson. Cody, what were the details of the back end of trade? We get a fifth, they get a third?
Yeah, we get a fifth-round pick, they get a third-round pick, and they receive Dan Arnold.
All right. Tell us what we got in CJ Henderson, because the rumor, you Google it, you get on the Twitter, and all of a sudden this great talent 2 years ago that a lot of people, Matt Rule, who tried to recruit in college at Temple, and I think maybe even tried to get him transferred to Baylor at one point. All of a sudden this kid doesn't like football. Well, at least that's what the rumor is on the internet. And what are we getting as a player? I'm going to go over some of the things you've written about him in a moment, but what are we getting today? CJ Henderson today with the Carolina Panthers.
I mean, if you break down why the CJ Henderson era in Jacksonville ended, I would say it's, because really, he did not exactly have the temperament, one would really, expect of a top 10 pick, and I fully believe normally when you hear, somebody doesn't love the game enough, it's, complete cliche, it's overblown. In this specific instance, I'm not sure it was, because I know that the Jaguars staff did everything that they could to try to get something out of Henderson, because, the obvious physical talent is there. He was a top 10 pick for a reason. You watch his week 1 game against the Indianapolis Colts in his NFL debut. You watch his last game of his rookie year when he matched up against Devontae Adams and had a couple stellar plays. And the talent is obvious. It's just getting that, talent to really match his production, which, for whatever reasons hasn't really been the case. I don't think his, love for the game has been an issue, say, on the football field. But I do think it helped the Jaguars really make this decision. I firmly believe, and I've reported for months, that the Jaguars never wanted to trade CJ Henderson. I still don't think the Jaguars entered this offseason or this season with the idea of, hey, we don't want CJ Henderson to be here. I think it was more so of, we tried, time and time again, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't clicked. There was one point, Urban Meyer and Charlie Strong both even confirmed it. They went to CJ Henderson's house, his own house one day, before practice to try to get him, geared up, try to coax something out of him. And it's just really, kind of his personality, and, some guys are just wired different, but he's really, kind of a quiet, laid back kind of guy. But I will say potentially the best thing for Henderson could maybe be, getting new surroundings, getting out of Florida, a place in Carolina where obviously, he knows somebody on the staff. The talent is obvious. I don't think at all it's a talent issue. And I saw people, keep saying off field. When you say off field, people, mostly presume, oh, that guy's a problem child or anything like that. That's not the problem with Henderson. He was a guy who was well liked. Urban Meyer, I liked him a good bit, but just for whatever reason, the Jaguars felt like, their attempts to get the most out of his production were in vain, and put that on top of his durability issues. And I think they actually feel okay with the 3rd round value they got.
He had COVID last year, though. He suffered a groin injury, and it was a different staff. And now you get a new staff coming in, kind of all the uncertainty surrounding. I don't know, there is a lot of uncertainty with Urban Meyer at this point. 0-3 start, but there's been a historic trend of players not wanting to be in Jacksonville. Is it, like you said, a change of scenery onto a 3-0 team with a defense that is just cooking. Number 1 defense in the league in every statistical category you can imagine. right? And the stats only got better last year. Is there a way with these young coaches, with Matt Rule, who we know is the college guy, right? Can they coax somebody or invigorate him in a certain way, you think?
I think invigorate would be the best word for it, honestly, because it's almost maddening to see, some of his reps, because the clear talent is, like I said, is there. His week 1 debut against the Colts was, in my opinion, one of the best debuts you're going to see from a rookie cornerback, really in the last several years. With that said, I never got the sense that, and somebody even asked me today if, after somebody asked the Jaguars defense coordinator today, Joe Cullen, if they felt like there was anything more they could have done to kind of make CJ Henderson work in Jacksonville. And he said no. And somebody asked me, do you get the sense that this was just CJ not wanting to be in Jacksonville? And from every conversation I've had, and from just what I know of CJ's really personality while covering him, I don't think it's like that at all. I don't think it's a Jalen Ramsey, Yannick Ngakoue situation where he just hates being in Jacksonville. I legitimately think it was just something where, for whatever reason, the light has not clicked, for him in terms of, wanting to be in the NFL. With that said, I do think Matt Rule, Phil Snow, his type of staff is the staff that could get the most out of them, because it seems like this is the type of staff that really bonds with those young players. This is a staff who, had a lot of guys who are in the college ranks. They know how to connect those type of players. I think anybody throwing the flag in on Henderson would be a bit foolish because of his talent. But I will say, I wouldn't be shocked if he is a Pro Bowler in 3 years, and I also wouldn't be shocked if he's not playing anymore in 3 years. That's in my personal opinion, like where he is at right now.
Well, let me give you exact personal opinion, and honesty is always appreciated, and we don't mind whatever your opinion is. If you were a betting man, and again, I know you don't know the young man, but would you bet that he is more going to be that Pro Bowl player, or do you think that he probably just doesn't love football and is on his way out? Again, whatever your opinion is, that's what we want.
He's saying it's a push.
Yeah, no, it's hard for me to say, because the one thing is, it's not like you have a guy who's been lights out every time he's been on the field who just can't stay on the field. He's had, I've covered every Jaguars game for the last 3 seasons. He, in my opinion, has had, I think, probably 3 whole games in his 12 games that he's played in the regular season where I believe, it's a game where you can say, okay, that truly was a game where you can walk away impressed and see a number 1 overall corner in the future. I really believe that he has the talent to be a Pro Bowler, moving forward. It's just, 1, getting that consistency on the field, and then 2, actually staying on the field in terms of durability. I will say, though, if there's any staff that I do think could get this out of CJ, I think it probably would be, the Panther staff.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. We've been very impressed with our first-round rookie cornerback that we just drafted, JC Horn out of South Carolina. Dude, he was my number 1 corner in this year's draft. I loved CJ in last year's draft. With the potential of those two being bookends of one another, it's really exciting, especially considering we have a good pass rush duo in Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns. But my question to you is this. The Panthers are getting ready to play their best offensive test that they've played all year up here with the Dallas Cowboys. My question to you is, do you think CJ is going to be able to come in and be able to be helpful right away? Or do you think that there's going to be kind of a mulling over period where he kind of has to get used to the defense? Or do you expect him to be able to come in right away and be able to shade Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb even as early as this Sunday?
As early as this Sunday is tough to say, just because of, the quick turnaround and having to learn the defense. I will say, for the people who are, wondering if CJ Henderson can come in and make an immediate impact, Henderson didn't have really any reps at all for the first half of training camp. Up until I would say probably practice or second to last practice before the first preseason game, Henderson had not had a single practice because of COVID, and then having that ramp back up period and then having to get some things out of him. Once he did come back, I believe he practiced with the 3rd team on the first day, the 2nd team on the 2nd day, and then a corner got hurt immediately in that first preseason game, and he got put out there with the starters. He played fantastic. You know, he was the best cover man on the field, and he did that with basically zero practice. So the natural skills are there. You know, he has the type of skills where if you can just get him to be consistent and, you know, fix some of his techniques and, you know, maybe play with a little more fire, I really think that, you know, he's a guy who can have that quick kind of turnaround. It's just trying to I really feel like, you know, he's kind of a roller coaster. You know, when things are going good for him, they're going great. But as soon as they start slipping, it just, you know, kind of rolls downhill.
This isn't the only corner that Urban Meyer's traded away, though, is it?
No, he traded Sidney Jones before the season, and I actually believe that was a sign of their faith in CJ Henderson, because at the end of the preseason, things were, you know, all smiles, you know, in Jacksonville in terms of CJ Henderson. He had a terrific preseason. He was locked in to be the starting cornerback on the outside, hence Sidney Jones getting traded. You know, he beat Sidney Jones out for that job, even though Sidney Jones started the first preseason game and started the first half of the entire training camp. I think once things started, you know, kind of going downhill for Henderson after 2 rough games and then missing the last game with an injury, I think the Jaguars just kind of realized, okay, you know, we've kind of done what we can to kind of, like you said, re-energize them, invigorate them, and it hasn't worked. But they've done a lot to reshape their secondary, and you know, trading Sidney Jones is. I graded the trade for the Jags and Panthers yesterday, and I thought it was both around a C, just because the risk with Henderson, and then, you know, trading a number 9 overall pick for a 3rd rounder after trading Sidney Jones, that's obviously never going to look good. So I think there's a decent amount of risk for both sides.
All right, I'm about to put this out here, but I got to preface it with Cody Lashney is one of the biggest Clemson fans in the history of the world, and one of the biggest Trevor Lawrence fans with the history of in the history of the world. You said earlier that you only had a few games that CJ Henderson looked kind of the real deal, like the full part. You wrote this in your piece on CJ Henderson. On the entire season, Henderson finished tied for 4th in pass breakups among all rookie cornerbacks with 6.
Yep.
While this may not be a staggering figure, it is worth noting that he did this in just 8 games. Now, that is a little over twice as much as Trevor Lawrence has played with the Jags. Has Trevor Lawrence had a game where he looked the part? Ooh, that's my jab at my co-host.
I honestly do believe the Cardinals game that he looked the part, because you know, people will see 4 turnovers, but you look at 3 of the turnovers. I mean, honestly, even 4 of the turnovers, you know, 1 drop pass by the tight end, 1, his running back's helmet actually hits him as he's going back to throw it. I've never seen that before. And then a fumble in the last play of the game. And then, of course, that awful flea flicker play. But I truly thought Lawrence looked the part of the number 1 overall pick against, you know, the Arizona Cardinals. I think the first 2 games, you know, you saw a lot of in my opinion, more so of a rookie quarterback on a team that just went 1-15, as opposed to a generational type guy who's going to, you know, turn a team around instantly. I think that, you know, where you're drafted plays a big part in your success as a rookie quarterback. And I think Lawrence is a perfect example of that, because I think he has shown every single trait of a franchise quarterback. He has made some throws that I have not seen a quarterback make in my time covering the team, like, at all. But you also see that, you know, okay, this isn't Clemson where his team is infinitely better than the opposing teams. You know, he's now, you know, he's now playing on the Georgia Tech squad instead of playing, you know, on Clemson. You know, the Jaguars are now, you know, the least talented team each weekend. I think you can kind of see that in some of his plays where he really, really trusts his receivers to win matchups, and sometimes they just won't. Like one of his interceptions, he threw a 50-50 ball up to Tyron Johnson, and Patrick Surtain picked it off. It wasn't a bad ball. It's just Surtain completely dominated Johnson, because that's what happens at the NFL level.
Yeah. He loves to take shots at my Clemson quarterback, but my Clemson team has now fallen off of a cliff now that there is no Trevor Lawrence either. So I think that's also a testament to my man Trevor. But CK, did you want to jump in and ask a question before John gets out of here?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, and less about the Panthers and more about the Jaguars. You know, I know that this is a Panthers podcast, but I mean, right now, I think the sky is I mean, a lot of people were looking at Trevor Lawrence. He was going to come in and save it. I think we're starting to realize, and I think a lot of people should have realized by now, that when you're drafted to a place like the Jets, like the Jaguars, that have had a struggle for success, consistent success, I should say, you're going to run into some roadblocks, right? Yeah. We're seeing that with these let's be honest, Trevor Lawrence is considered one of the best draft prospects to come out of college in a long time in a quarterback position. And then you have Zach Wilson, who some considered to be better than Trevor Lawrence, even though it wasn't necessarily as consistent as Lawrence. But that being said, the sky is falling because people were expecting him to come in and just change the face of the organization, especially with the help of Urban Meyer. What do you believe the consensus is? Is there a rebuild? And do you think it's going to be something that clicks later on this year? Or is it something that's going to take a 3 to 4 year rebuild? And then maybe it's a little too late because then you're going to have to start thinking about what you're paying Trevor Lawrence.
I think you'll see Lawrence get better as the year goes on, just because, in my opinion, you've seen him get better over the first 3 games. I think you watch him in week 3 and watch him in week 1, and it's at least in my opinion, night and day in terms of execution, decision making, going through his reads. Yeah. I truly believe that rookie quarterbacks, the expectations should be the bare minimum. Like I do a weekly national column, and I wrote last week, this just in, all the rookie quarterbacks are getting stuffed into lockers by opposing defenses. Because, I mean, from Lawrence to Zach Wilson to even Mac Jones, so I know some people have been impressed by, he has not looked good. Just NFL history tells us rookie quarterbacks are going to struggle. And I think Justin Herbert last year, Andrew Luck, RG3, that class, I think that kind of skewed the perceptions of people in terms of rookie quarterbacks. So I do think this is clearly a rebuild. The Jaguars are 1-15 for a reason. They have a rookie head coach, a lot of roster turnover, and, a lot of roster holes from a year ago that, you can't address every roster hole in year 1. So it's definitely a rebuild. But in terms of Lawrence, I do think you'll see him get better and better as the year goes on.
Thank you so much, John Shipley. Tell them where they can find your work, because if you want to learn about CJ Henderson, I tell you this, is your work was all over the place as soon as I was looking it up. So I enjoyed the coverage. Tell them how they can find you on social media and wherever you're publishing right now. Thanks,
man. You can find me at _John_Shipley on Twitter, and you can find us at NFL.com. Oh, no, sorry. SI.com/NFL/Jaguars. And then, I would just like to leave, one comment as I'm going. CJ Henderson, for all the rumors people see out there, I really think, people should, it's just right to, really be sensitive and think about other people whenever you're talking about things, trying to inflate, maybe mental health with actual off-field issues, which I think is inappropriate, or even trying to inflate that with, being with a specific franchise. Henderson's a terrific talent. He's a good guy who I enjoyed covering, and I personally am happy for him that he's getting a fresh start because, a lot of times it's a cliche when you say it's best for both sides to kind of move on. But in this instance, I actually do believe it. So I'm going to be rooting for CJ Henderson moving forward.
Cool. Fantastic stuff, man. Y'all are listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. We're rocking and rolling. You just heard John Shipley. We're going to be turning towards a Dallas Cowboys preview in just 30 seconds. But I got to tell you, you can be a part of the show later on, 252-228-5098. And CK, hit them with the shame.
If you are here and you have not yet hit that thumbs up button, letting us know what we're doing is good, we need that validation now. Hit that thumbs up button. If you have not done that, I'm giving you subscriber shame.
Subscriber shame, baby. 170 strong viewers watching right now. 90 thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up button. Give some sweet, loving pets to that subscribe button, to the notification bell to get updates every single time we go live. Please and thank you. Tony Dunn, why don't you introduce this next guest that we have for the fans?
All right, now to help us preview, bring them on into the show, my Paul Catalina from the Bleav in podcast, Bleav in Cowboys podcast. Excuse me, Bleav in. Paul. First of all, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah, you did. I was on with you guys last year talking about Cameron and Matt Rule.
I remember. The reason I all of a sudden was thinking about this, though, is my girlfriend in high school, this girl named Tara Bradley, her favorite salad dressing was Catalina. I think
I appreciate that, but I have nothing to do with it. I feel like those mofos owe me some money, but what the hell, But,
all right. Sorry. That was like all that was just streaming through my brain at that moment for some odd reason. All right, guys. Look, the Cowboys are off to a hot start. Look like a different team, in my opinion. and the Carolina Panthers are on the hottest start you can be. That's called undefeated. Our defense is the best, and your offense is pretty intimidating. We brought you in tonight to help us get a feel for what we're facing. You guys are coming off of Monday Night Football, and I went to bed early. I watched the first half. I needed Dallas Goedert to get me exactly 9.8 points or whatever in my fantasy league. I'm yet to win a damn game in this fantasy league. I got the Super Bowl hangover. I was 0.8 points away from winning my first game. The Dallas Cowboys look to have smoked them. And then I wake up to this, man, Mike McCarthy doesn't know anything about the clock. All I heard was negative stuff. So tell me, where are the Cowboys at? What happened at the end that I missed?
No, people are still mad about McCarthy at the end of the first half, not calling timeouts because against the Chargers, he looked like he was playing for a 56-yard field goal, and Greg Zuerlein bailed him out, completely bailed him out by making it. And game management's long been a problem for Mike McCarthy. It's something that I think Aaron Rodgers didn't like about him. And here at the end of the first half, they've got all three timeouts. They've got like more than a minute. I don't know what was on the clock. I didn't keep that strict in notes, but there was more than a minute or so on the clock. I think more than a minute and a half. And it's 4th and 5. They could have taken a timeout. They let it roll down to about 30 seconds. And I was like, what are you doing not taking timeouts here to try to force the Eagles to give you the ball back? Luckily, the Cowboys just smoked them, so it didn't come back into play. But I think people's concern is there's going to be a time where they're too confident in their offense or they're too confident in their defense or whatever's going on, and those decisions are going to cost them because you didn't get the 3 points you might have needed at the end of the half that would have maybe separated you from having to come down to the last possession.
So listen, I want to ask you this. From my perspective, the Cowboys represent the best offensive test that the Panthers have played thus far. I want to know, just quite frankly, do you, as a Cowboys fan, writer, do you feel that the Carolina Panthers are the stiffest test that the Cowboys have played to date? And why do you think that is? What matchups are you, maybe even kind of worried about going into this matchup with the Carolina defense?
Okay, I say this with nothing but love and respect for my man Rule and for my man Phil Snow and the whole staff there that was here at Baylor before they went to Carolina. Their defense is very good, but they're the second best team the Cowboys have played so far this year because they opened up with the Bucs. So that defense would not let them run. I don't think that the Panthers are going to let them run. I do think that the Panthers have not seen the Cowboys' offensive talent yet when you're talking about Zeke and Tony Pollard in the backfield, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. Both the tight ends are doing well right now, particularly Dalton Schultz, even a little bit better than Blake Jarwin. The offensive line playing pretty well in spite of Lyle Collins' suspension. So, and Dak Prescott is pretty locked in. So I don't think the Panthers have seen anything, but these are still the Cowboys. They're not the minute that people notice they're playing well is when somebody notices what their weakness is and then exploits it. So it would not surprise me to see Phil Snow have already figured out that weakness and exploiting it, or not let them run. And I think the key to beating the Cowboys is what the Bucs did. Yeah, it was close, but they made Dak throw the ball 58 times. You're not going to win many games when you throw the ball over 50 times. You're not going to win many games when you throw the ball over 40 times. So I would think that they could very well shut down the run. The Bucs did it. Their defensive line probably not quite as good or as accomplished as Tampa's is, but they've got a lot of good young guys on that front seven. I do think that's a matchup the Cowboys will have to struggle with.
How is this offense cooking as much as it is for the Cowboys? I mean, is it because it feels like every time I see it's just all CeeDee, not all CeeDee Lamb. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but gosh, CeeDee Lamb is off to a start that makes you forget about everybody else on the team. It feels like, at least from the outside looking in. How good is this offense, and how are they cooking so much?
Well, I would say it's Kellen Moore, which was one of the best hires the Cowboys have made in a long time. He was their backup quarterback and broke his leg actually right in front of me in training camp, and it was so gross I did want to like one of those, like, oh God. But he came in and he is doing what Jason Garrett did not do, which is he runs an adaptive offense where the game plan adapts to whichever team they're playing, as opposed to Jason Garrett's philosophy, which was we do these 4 things and we're going to continue to do these 4 things. And if they can stop these 4 things, then good for them, which in the modern NFL isn't really the way you do it. You got to adapt, especially when you have as many weapons as the Cowboys do. You have to adapt to the strength. So it was a good idea with the Bucs. They threw the ball 58 times, which is probably ultimately problematic because they couldn't run it all, but they were in that game with the Bucs because they adapted their offense to what was going on. They adapted to the Chargers. The Chargers played back, they ran the ball. The Eagles played back, they ran the ball. And you see what happens. So the offense is cooking because Kellen Moore has been adaptive to each situation in each game. I'm curious to see how he adapts to how the Panthers are going to play them, because this is a really good defense compared to the Chargers, which is an average defense, and the Eagles, which was just god-awful.
Well, they're talking junk about Cephas in the chat.
Yeah,
that's what they're talking about. So here is this Cowboys defense, is it been reinvigorated under Dan Quinn?
Yes, it has. I mean, let's not they've played 3 games, so let's not polish the trophy for them yet, but it's been a lot better. Dan Quinn has been able to navigate through not having his best player on defense, which is, well, I don't know. Micah Parsons might eventually be that guy, but DeMarcus Lawrence has not been there the last 2 weeks. He broke his foot. Randy Gregory wasn't with them for COVID for a week. They haven't had a whole lot of pass rush yet, not like they envisioned, but last night you saw rookie at defensive tackle Osa Odigizua play really well. Micah Parsons has been phenomenal in everything he's done. Trayvon Diggs has been great. They have some holes and some weaknesses that, sometimes you can't just cover up, but they have made plays when they needed to. And with the offense being as good as it is, the defense doesn't need they don't need the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense simultaneously. Nobody really has that. That's kind of unrealistic to have that just based on the salary cap. You can't spend your money all that places, or you're the best drafting team in the world. But if you have the number, of a top 5 offense and a top 15 defense, then you can win a lot of games. The Cowboys maybe have just figured this out, that, hey, you don't need to be number 1 at everything. You don't need superstars everywhere. You need a good scheme. You need to be in the top 15 or so in defense. If you get a few stops, your offense can always keep you in the game.
You're listening to Paul Catalina, host of Bleav in the Cowboys podcast. Cody, I know you got some questions. Jump in there.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to know specifically about this Dallas defensive backfield because I know Justin Herbert was able to throw for a good amount of yardage. Even last night, the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith, they were able to at least get over 20 points. Sam Darnold has been much better for the Carolina Panthers than what he ever was with the New York Jets. My question to you is, with all of the weapons that the Panthers have, with DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall, and Sam Darnold playing so much better than he has previously, did you see this game potentially being a shootout, even a battle for points, just trying to put up points after points, because both of these offenses do have the high-powered weapons on the exterior?
Yeah, I would say that more if McCaffrey was going to be available for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys probably lucked out there. I saw Chuba Hubbard play a lot here in the Big 12, so I'm pretty confident that he'll probably be able to do some stuff once he gets going. But I do think that that their secondary is a work in progress. Trayvon Diggs looks like he's going to be he's got interceptions in every game this year, and he had that amazing pick 6 last night. I do think it'll be a challenge. But I do think that not having Christian McCaffrey there, benefits the Cowboys immensely. And I think also, J.C. Horn going out, the trade for CJ Henderson, I think, is a really, really good one, because when you look at that, that's next year when J.C. Horn gets healthy and CJ Henderson is back, that's 2 really good, highly drafted young corners that are going to be there and ready to go in Carolina for a long, long time. But for right now, CJ Henderson, I'm sure he'll play this week, but how much does he play? How much is he adjusted? I know this about Phil Snow's system. It takes a year to learn. And that's what Matt Rule said here. It turned out to be true. And then by year 3 of Matt Rule, they were contending for the Big 12 title. So I would think that maybe this year isn't the year where the Panthers get you really excited, even though they're getting you excited right now. But next year might be the one, especially if Darnold continues to progress. So I do think the Cowboys go in with a little bit of an advantage. But again, this is a Panthers team that's really playing well and really playing good in spots right now.
Our defense is on pace for 80 sacks this season right now, and they're really coming from a front four that's dominant. And this is where I want to ask you is that for so long, the Cowboys have maintained a reputation of having a great offensive line. Last night, I saw Fletcher Cox push a guy back into the quarterback and then take the ball out of his hand and score one of the only touchdowns they had last night. Is there any concern that the Cowboys offensive line is maybe not as good as it used to be?
I think you're probably right onto something there. I think they're still very good. I don't think they're the best in the league anymore. I think those guys live in Tampa. I think that's the best offensive line in the league, but I do think they're still very good. They're playing without Lyle Collins. Terrence Steele has been good the 2 games he's played. Very impressed with the way he's developed from last year this year. But I will say this. Fletcher Cox does that to everyone. Like it's one of those things like, oh man, Aaron Donald ate this guy's lunch. Well, yeah, that's what he does to everyone. He'd do it to the best offensive lineman that ever lived. They're that good. So, they contain Fletcher Cox for the most part. He had a couple of really big plays, and that's fine. But, yeah, I mean, they're good. You saw how they were able to run the ball last night, and they run the ball against the Chargers. So, yeah, I don't think that it's really that big of a deal, coming down. I think that they need to probably get a little younger on it eventually. But, yeah, right now they're still pretty good. And they're young up front.
The Cowboys are favored by 5, I believe, in this matchup.
That's too much.
Really?
Yeah, that's too much. I mean, like if it comes down to 5, I don't like any number more than 3 in the NFL. The NFL's a close league. But the Ravens should have torched the Lions last week. And what happened? It took the longest field goal in NFL history stoinking off the bar to win that game. That's how the NFL goes. So I think 5's a little bit much. I think, Vegas knows. They know. And maybe it is a touchdown game. The Cowboys offense is humming along, but I've been watching this team my whole life, and I've been covering them very closely for the last 15 years. And I'll tell you this, just when you expect the Cowboys to take hold, when Stephen A. Smith is on the air spouting whatever stupid, vomit comes out of his mouth, and he's like, oh, they should be 7-1 by the midway point. I've seen it. It's not how it works.
Give us an injury update for the Cowboys. What are you guys looking at? Because we got the injury bug. We were clean for 3 weeks, and then we got hit with the injury bug this past week. Where are you guys at?
Well, not great along the defensive line. Still no Tank Lawrence. That's going to be a good long while before he's back. It's still, no Neville Gallimore, no Tristan Hill along the defensive front. So that's 3 starters that they plan on having this year that aren't there. They've played okay along that so far. Kelvin Joseph, their second-round draft pick, hasn't played yet this year. Lyle Collins is suspended, so that's like having an injury. And Michael Gallup has been out, but you saw Cedric Wilson, their 4th wide receiver, is really kind of a pretty good player and has stepped in well in that role. And, Michael Gallup being out is, and this is no knock on him, he's fantastic, but they kind of have an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver. So as long as Cooper and CeeDee Lamb are there and they have Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott, they've got plenty of weapons to go around. So I think injury-wise, they could be better, but it's been a lot worse in the past.
Sure. Let me ask you about this. Let me pass it to my man, Greg, the Bat Daddy, joining us late to the show. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Sorry I'm late.
No, you're fine, man.
Jumping right into this conversation. I don't know really what y'all had spoken about before I got on, so I'm just going to go into it. I expected the Cowboys to be a really high-powered offense this year. I got Dak and Zeke in all my fantasy leagues. which I was, and Zeke has been up until this week somewhat disappointing for me fantasy wise. But do you think with Tony Pollard being such a strong running back that Zeke's past the point of being like that guy? Like, he's a good running back and he's a solid guy you want on his team, but he's not going to be the leading rusher in the league anymore. You know, he's not going to be that guy.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, their offense is also different. It used to be, you know, when Zeke first got in the league, Jason Garrett's plan was Zeke's getting the ball. We're going to feed Zeke. We're going to feed Zeke. We're going to feed Zeke. Kellen Moore is more adaptive to what's going on. I think Zeke is still an excellent player. I don't know if he's worth $9 million a year, but he is because the Cowboys are paying him that. So Tony Pollard certainly helps change things up for them a little bit and adds a different level. So, and that's Kellen Moore. It's not going to be all about one person. And I think Zeke's okay with that. I think everybody's okay with that. I would like to see them give him the ball more. I think part of the reason that you see maybe Zeke not as effective is they're either in a point where they can't run the ball anymore or couldn't against Tampa, or they're just, you know, in the game, it's just flowing a different way and what's working is working. So I don't know. Running backs get better as the game goes on. That's why Derrick Henry gets 25 to 30 carries in touches, because around carry 20, if you're on defense, you're tired of hitting that dude. You're tired of trying to tackle him. And Zeke's, you know, he's not as big as Derrick Henry, but he's still really big and fast and strong. And that's why carry 20 for most running backs is better than carry 2 or carry 5. And carry 25, if you can get him there, is really, really good. So Zeke averaged almost 6 yards a carry last night. If he continues to do that, the Cowboys will be just fine. But no, he's not going to be the leading rusher like Derrick Henry or anything like that anymore. It's different for a variety of reasons. But yeah, I mean, he's going to get you a couple touchdowns in fantasy, but he might not have 175-yard games anymore.
Right. And I actually believe that with the way the Cowboys are designed now, like you were saying, that works out better for working with the game flow rather than having to go through Zeke, using Zeke when you can, giving him more breaks. And that way, whenever he has the time to go, he can be more explosive. I think it'll work out well.
You missed the fantasy guy, CeeDee Lamb, though. Good guy. He's got more targets than anybody in the history of the universe.
Yeah, I tried. But
yeah, two of my leagues, so yeah.
Yeah, my last question that I have for you is about your offensive line. I know that's been such a big part of this Cowboys team for such a long time. It feels like Cowboys and having one of the better O-lines in football is like synonymous with one another. However, I do know in recent years they've had some injuries to it. What is the health of this current offensive line, and do you like where they stack up, with other Cowboys offensive lines that you've seen? And do you think that they're at an advantage or a disadvantage going up against this Carolina Panthers front seven?
I'm going to go in reverse. I think that right now I would say that's a push because that means some really good defensive linemen in Carolina right now. But the Cowboys' health on the offensive line, outside of not having Lyle Collins, who's plenty healthy, he's just bribing drug administrators because he missed some tests and got suspended. So, but they're healthy along the offensive front. I think they're a little deeper than they've been. I think that they're able to do a lot of different things on the offensive line. Tyron Smith is finally healthy after having surgery on his I guess his neck and his back, like some things that had been nagging him for a few years. So where it ranks, it was probably better 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 2016, 2018. Those were better offensive lines than right now because they had Travis Frederick then. Now they don't. He's retired. So Tyler Biadasz is still a young player and growing into that role at center. So yeah, it stacks up. I mean, it's not the 90s. It's not Larry Allen and Nate Newton and Eric Williams and Mark Stepnowski and guys like that, but it's a good offensive line. It's one of the better ones in the league. It's not the best anymore, but I think they're healthy and stack up well. If they do, though, lose another player, then their depth is certainly going to be called into question.
CK, okay. You got anything for our guest?
Yeah. I have a quick one, and it's something that, going into the offseason, there was a few teams that were eligible for Hard Knocks. Panthers were one of them. The Cowboys were another. I'll be honest, I was indifferent, maybe even on the side of not really liking Dak that much prior to Hard Knocks. I think my opinion has drastically changed. I think he is an incredible human, and I think he has a lot to prove. And he's got. I really can't help but hope that he does well in this league. But obviously, there's a lot of ties, and this question is going to be a little bit broad. But Mike McCarthy, having almost come and interviewed for our head coaching position prior to signing with Dallas, all that stuff. I know that coaches typically don't normally like Hard Knocks. Do you feel like that was a distraction, and are you happy that we didn't sign Mike McCarthy?
All right, that's a loaded question. Okay.
My question was going to be, is he going to be the coach there for much longer, too?
You're honest about it. You're honest about it. I appreciate your upfront. Here's the thing. Being a Dallas Cowboy in and of itself is a distraction. There are I'll always think about this. When Randall Cobb first came to the Cowboys, and he's with a team that has a national fan base in the Green Bay Packers. They have fans everywhere, just like the Cowboys do, just like the Steelers do, just like the 49ers do, the Raiders. There's only a few of those that have like legit national fan bases that wherever they go, they've got people that will show up. And the Cowboys have the biggest national fan base. But he said when we were all gathered around his locker, he said, this is like before the NFC Championship game in Green Bay, and this was on a Wednesday in May. So it was very, very different. There are 7 TV stations that cover the Cowboys regularly. I mean, the press box is wall to wall people every single game. It's a big deal. So being a Cowboy in and of itself is a distraction. So I don't think Hard Knocks adds to it. Coaches don't like any added distractions. So I don't think it was that big of a deal. And Jerry Jones, I mean, look, when they asked Jerry, he said yes, probably before do you want to be on Hard Knock? And he probably said yes, we'll do it. Bring the cameras. We want to be here. He wants to promote the league. He wants to promote California. He wants to run all the cool stuff the Cowboys do. So not surprised at all. But when I am happy to say I'm happy that Mike McCarthy came to the Cowboys and not Carolina, know that I am, a tremendous Matt Rule fan. And I like him a whole lot. So I'm very happy he got that job in Carolina. I would love for him to get the Cowboys job. He's been on my show a ton of times, even after he's left Waco on our show. So he's a great friend of our show and a great friend, to us, and has been. So, and I was never a fan of Mike McCarthy before. I'm not necessarily a fan of him now. And here's what I'll tell you: the only thing that Mike McCarthy can do, because I'm a Cowboys fan, I grew up a Cowboys fan, I'll die a Cowboys fan. The only thing he can do to make me like him, and this has nothing to do with anything else, win a Super Bowl and I will like you. I love Jimmy Johnson. I love Tom Landry. I love Barry Switzer. All the rest of them, I don't care how nice the guys they are. They didn't win Super Bowls.
What about Bill Parcells?
Parcells I liked a lot, but Parcells left too early, to me. But again, the gauge for the Cowboys is win a Super Bowl or you're not worth it to me. And that's kind of how I am almost with every single one of my teams that I'm a fan of, is that win the trophy, give me a shiny thing, or I don't like you. So.
All right, my final question for the night. Are you surprised at how well Dak is playing, given, just returning after a tough injury last season?
Yeah, especially with how big a deal they made of his shoulder on Hard Knocks. I thought, oh man, he's not only is he coming back from a busted leg, he apparently tore his labrum or something. He's got some kind of weird baseball injury that they're having baseball people check in on. Nope, he's been fine, and doesn't surprise me. He's a tough dude. I guess it does surprise me, but yeah, I mean, you come back, his leg, you saw it was going that way. It was not a good look. But he's back and fine. He's not as fast as he was, but don't really you just need to get away. You don't need to run for 200 yards as a quarterback. You just need to get away from the pass rush.
You have explosive playmakers. You don't need to be the explosive playmaker when you're a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, fantastic stuff from Paul Catalina. You can find him a host of Bleav in the Cowboys podcast. Man, thank you for your time, and we'll check back in with you maybe sooner than next year. Who knows?
Yeah, like and subscribe to these people. I'm on YouTube now, 365 Sports, but like and subscribe. It's our lifeblood. Give us attention.
Yes.
We thrive it. Like and subscribe.
All right. We appreciate your support, man. Thanks for your time tonight, man, and thanks for your insight into this matchup. The Carolina Panthers are heading to Dallas this week after really what we're trying to do is burn up the whole damn state of Texas, pull old, I almost said Richard Sherman, but I meant General Sherman, right? burn and pillage the South. Fantastic stuff, man. We appreciate the support there, man. Guys, big show tonight. John Shipley came in earlier to help us talk about the Jags. We have Paul Catalina tonight with the Cowboys. We still have calls, 252-228-5098, and a lot of content going on in the chat room. I will say this, Cody, you got to be careful highlighting every comment when the guest is up there, because when they're fighting with each other, it totally seems like that they're fighting with the guest at some point. Like, you can't put up this clown and they're talking about somebody else.
Hey, man, this is hostile waters, man. We're talking NFL football, man. That's what I'm saying.
Paul Catalina is the guy that told the joke on the pod. Remember I made him tell the joke last year?
Hey, did you know how hard it was for me to not highlight those comments?
I know.
That one was a whole lot worse. But, shout out to the 178 people we have watching right now, man. If you have not hit the like button, please do so already, man. We're going to be your one-stop shop destination for Carolina Panthers content all year round, baby. So hit that like button, hit the notification bell every time we go live. And hey, tell somebody, do you have Panther fans that that need someone else, or that need someone to talk to about Panther football? This is the place to be, y'all. Let them know. Get our names out there. You already know why you're here. Let's go.
Panthers therapy.
Oh, yeah, man, that's true. And it's been easier this year, and it's been an exciting start. We've got a lot still to talk about. Again, the number's 252-228-5098. Let's go ahead and maybe jump into some of these cat calls and see where they take us, because I still have to defend my honor and do some different things going on in this. And we still got to probably go back and review what we learned about this Carolina Panther team from that Houston, Texas win. I'd like to hear Cody tell me some of the insight that you found out on the Friday free-for-all as well. Let's go ahead and jump into these calls.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling? Yeah, you should do that to somebody. And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like...
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
How y'all doing, y'all? This is G Cavassier. Hey, I know you guys are already talking. Yeah, CJ Henderson is now a Carolina Panthers. And to be honest with you, I know nothing about this damn dude. I looked at his highlights. I know he played for Florida or whatever. And I watched his couple of his highlights from his first season. He's with the Jaguars or whatever. Because to me, honestly, I wanted Richard Sherman. I'm not going to lie to you. I wanted Richard Sherman years ago, man. I wanted that damn dude, man. But I think, honestly, the reason why they didn't go for Richard Sherman, either he wanted more money or, let's be honest, he's not a man-to-man corner. You know, he plays more zone, and it seems like Phil Snow is playing more man-to-man. That's what it seems like to me. I could be wrong, but I don't know, man. But if that's the damn case, man, and this dude pans out, our defense is going to be fucking stout, man, the next couple of years. And the dude is still on his rookie contract, man. So, hey, man, him and Horn. So, hey, man, the odd man out, in my opinion, is Dante Jackson, man. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I like the dude personally. He's playing a hell of a lot better this year. He's tackling better. But
yeah, he is.
Thoughts on that, y'all? Because we got Dallas on Sunday. I see us beating Dallas. I'm not afraid of their damn defense at all, to tell you the truth. But I think we can put some damn pressure on that. Keep pounding.
Cody, I want to ask you about some of that with the potential of keeping Dante, what this means for the future. If CJ Henderson pans out and looks, to be kind of the player that many people think he's going to be. I was, immediately starting to flirt with the idea, can we put Dante Jackson in the slot? But the more I've seen, I used to think that the slot corner was a small guy that, could handle the third wide receiver, some of this. But I don't know if that's the case anymore. If the corner, is because they got to match up against these pass catching tight ends so much. Is there a scenario, though, where you could put Horn, Jackson, and Henderson all on the field at once?
I really do think so, man. And to be honest, I mean, in today's NFL, the nickname for that position is the big nickel. This is even something that Isaiah Simmons was coming out of Clemson. It was that big, fast, athletic player that you could put at that nickel corner safety hybrid position. Here's the thing, though. I think Dante Jackson, you have to be a good tackler to play nickel. And traditionally, Dante Jackson, that's been our one big criticism of him. But, man, this year he has really turned a corner on his form tackling, really wrapping up, playing aggressive, being sound, and not letting any minor thing slip past him. So, yeah, in my mind, and I know a lot of people might feel differently about this, and it definitely opens the doors for a lot of different possibilities here. But to me, this CJ Henderson signing doesn't say to me that Dante Jackson is a no-go to be re-signed later here in Carolina. If anything, I feel like if Dante continues to prove his worth, because let's remember, he's going to be a very big part of this defense going forward. I mean, CJ Henderson is going to be brand new, straight off the bus from Jacksonville. So, Dante Jackson is more important now than ever before. I would not mind at the end of this season, especially if he continues to play well, breaking him off some, what I would call some I love you right now money, pay him like we did Robbie Anderson, give him a 2 or 3 year deal that doesn't break the bank, that ostensibly lasts as long as it takes before J.C. Horn and C.J. Henderson come up for contracts of their own. That way you have a veteran presence who is a team captain that the players clearly love. I think he can be a really big part of this defense going forward, and I would love to see him remain a Panther.
Can we talk about
I love that take right there.
Can I at least bring this up on top of that? We talk about Dante Jackson's growth under Phil Snow. We have another cornerback coming in that's had the exact same questions placed on him that were on Dante Jackson in his first couple of years in the league. And he's coming into a coaching staff that is going to hopefully find a way to do exactly what they've done for Dante, but for CJ. I think it's going to be an incredible transition for him. I think he's going to be able to come in here, and I think he's going to prove everybody right about why he should have been a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Cody, you said he was your number 16. Where was he on your list of cornerbacks?
He was number 2. I had Jeffrey Okudah ranked very high, but Jeffrey Okudah up to this point has been a bit of a bust. And I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, injuries alone have ruined him.
Yeah, injuries alone, and he also hasn't been playing very well. But he was my number 2 corner in that entire draft, and I had him as my number 16 overall player. That's out of 100 people that I ranked and watched a bunch of film on. He was by far one of the better picks in the entire draft. I loved his film, and I think he's going to be special for us.
I love the I love you now money type take because it doesn't put the pressure on anybody, both the team and the player. It kind of helps everybody, and also the confidence of maybe staying in a familiar spot with a defense that you think can cook in the future. I want to give point this out too when it comes to some things about Dante Jackson. He played on a real shitty team at the time, which makes it a lot harder for a cornerback when your defensive front isn't getting it done. And when it comes to CJ Henderson coming to Carolina, the best thing about it is all of a sudden this guy could go from a name that nobody knew really. We had forgotten about after the draft day because he was languishing in a place that had no success. And right now, this defensive front is making everybody's job easy in the secondary to the point where Justin Burris has impressed Cody Lashney more than he expected, who is now on IR, to the point that Dante Jackson is playing with some real fire in his belly, which he's always done. But I think his open field tackling is great. You can see he's in the type of contract year. But look, I mean, to the point where Jermaine Carter Jr. has like 4 tackles. And guess what? It doesn't even bother us. The idea that you brought up Perryman like being a league leader in tackles. Well, you know what? The linebackers haven't had to do crap on this team.
That's what I was about to say. I mean, like Jermaine Carter Jr. and Shaq. I mean, even Shaq, he's been in the backfield. Like his every tackle that we've had from our linebackers have been behind the line of scrimmage. And to be honest, we have one of the highest third down ratios in the league, meaning there's fewer tackling opportunities. So
we have the highest. Do you know that after going into the Houston game, we had a 25% get off of our field mentality. So their opponents were only converting 25% of their third downs. Last week, Houston went either 1 for 9 or 1 for 11 on third down. So what do you think that stat is right now? Jesus, Lord of mercy. Get off our MF fields, and even when we come to your house, we make your field our field.
I love it, man. I love it. And we all have memories of what the Panthers did on that Thanksgiving Day when Luke Kuechly hit Tony Romo with that big stiff arm on the interception. I'm loving it, man. Listen, this is the biggest game of the year for us, y'all. Someone in the comment section earlier wanted us to talk about the Panthers being disrespected, that we're not in most people's top 10s. People are thinking that we're the worst undefeated football team, and that the Panthers are just we've been feasting off of the bottom feeder teams in the NFL. And they completely forgot that they all picked the New Orleans Saints to absolutely shit all over us. And you see what the Panthers did to them. So listen, if Panthers fans and this team want us to be taken seriously, want to be seen as the legitimate threat that we are, then there's no better way to do it than to beat the piss out of the Dallas Cowboys, man. This is a team that it doesn't matter if they're good or bad. Every media company, ESPN, Fox, they're all required to talk about the Cowboys ad nauseum all the damn time. So listen, if they're going to talk about them, they might as well talk about the Carolina Panthers pounding their ass into a fine paste in the middle of AT&T Stadium, baby, because that's what we're getting ready to do, man.
All right, the number is 252-228-5098. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, guys, it's Chuck calling from Elizabeth City, and I'm calling in early because it's Cowboy Week, the most plastic fan base on there. But before talk about that, I just wanted to bring up about Monday's practice. And Scott Fitterer, our GM, goes out, tells Sam Darnold to kind of hit the showers early. He was going to dress and throw some balls to the guys and get them ready, show them what kind of guy he is, not just a general manager. When he got in the huddle, folks, and he looked at Sam Darnold, and he looked at Dan Arnold, and he said, "Hey, I want you to go home." Dan Arnold said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, I want you to go along. Go along." He said, "Don't turn around until I tell you." And man, they snap the ball. Fitterer drops back to pass. And he's saying, "Hey, Dan, don't turn around." And Dan turns around and says, "When do you want me to turn around?" He said, "When you get to Jacksonville." And that's exactly what happened, folks. And I love the CJ Henderson trade, by the way. I think
said, "Bye, y'all."
I think we're going to have a great defense as long as they don't get derailed by injuries. If we can find a way to keep Dante Jackson long term, but even more important to me is Hassan Reddick. We have got a formidable defense, guys, and it's awesome. And maybe one day Fitterer will draft offensive linemen or free agency, some free guys that are worth a shit. Other than that, guys, that's all I got.
Fantastic call, man. Yeah, they told him to run and keep on running. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I didn't get to – we're talking about the CJ Henderson trade, and I wanted to put a few thoughts out there about that. Is I don't mind the trade at all, and I know we needed to fill the position, but I'm not sold on this guy because I haven't seen him yet. So I don't want to talk trash about it because I don't know much about the guy, but I just know the stats that I've seen. And we were talking about how hard it is to be a cornerback in a bad situation or a bad defense, and I get that. But he's only got like a 55 on PFF. He has 6 passes thrown in this year, and 5 of them been completed passes. So he's not really a good defender. He only has like 4 tackles this year. I mean, he's not, from what I see just in stats, I don't know much about the guy, a really great player from what I understand. I don't see why they would give away a 9th pick. Was last year 9th pick? For what, a 3rd and a tight end this year, unless they see something. So it makes me worry. But once again, I don't know anything about him, so I don't want to go into it negative, but I'm cautious.
So
they were trying to trade him before the season started, right? It's like he was one of the ways that they were already starting to think about this. Maybe that says something about what they think about their secondary. But the other thing I think has to do with this is trying to get more success for Trevor Lawrence at this point. Because as talking to a Jags fan that I know, he said, like, I hope this guy could just help our tight end room. By the way, they have all of our old tight end. They have Greg Manhertz as well, or Manhertz, Mike, whatever his name was, something Manhertz.
Hey, by the way, real quick trivia question: do you remember another time when the Carolina Panthers traded a 3rd-round pick for a 1st-round player?
Greg the Leg.
Greg the Leg, old 3rd leg.
Oh wow, that's a good point. That's
yeah,
good.
man. Yeah, man.
I put a poll up in the YouTube chat, guys. Is which team do you think the Panthers should be ranked ahead of in the NFL power rankings? The 49ers, the Raiders, or the Broncos? If you guys want to, or maybe I should have put a option that shouldn't be ranked ahead of any of them. But look, the Panthers are climbing the rankings, guys. They're climbing the rankings at 13th now. It's going to take a win against a team with the Cowboys that people believe are good, even to kind of encourage this. Now, I don't know why the Broncos are seen as a team that like it doesn't matter who they played. I believe the Rams and the Broncos, like all these teams have played like teams with real losing records. I know the Broncos have had the easiest schedule. They've played the Jags, the Giants, and the Jets. Not to say we've had the hardest schedule, but Texans had some fight in them, even though they didn't have their starting quarterback. The Jets were playing with that first week excitement, and hey, we weren't playing the Saints. I don't know. I'll take the ranking right now. Cody, go ahead and tell them what you got on the screen.
Yeah, well, I put on Twitter, and I bring this up because I want to hear everybody's opinion. To all the 200 people watching, and all of you guys here, I want to know where everyone's honest assessment rank of this football team is right now. I put on Twitter, how would you honestly rank this Carolina Panthers team and why? Top 5, top 10, top 15, top 20. And as of right now, with 46.9% of the vote, most people who voted on this Twitter poll believe that we have a top 10 team in the NFL. And, I was actually watching just other power rankings and looking at other top 10s, and I keep on seeing a bunch of teams rated ahead of us that it just makes no sense to me. Like the fucking Broncos and Teddy Bridgewater, all of those teams that the Broncos have played are a combined 0-9. Okay, so yeah, I'm not exactly trusting in Teddy Bridgewater down the stretch. Okay, maybe they have better talent over there, but there's no way they're better than this Panthers defense right now. I don't care if they have 10 Von Millers. Like the Broncos are not better than us, and I think apparently. And we already knew this. The Carolina Panthers are going to have to go and earn every bit of respect that we're seeking, man. No one's going to give it to us. They didn't want to give it to us in 2015. They didn't want to give it to us in any of our seasons where the Panthers have been legitimate contenders, man. So we just have to go and continue to slap these football teams in their mouth and let them know who the Panthers really are.
Well, and the part... The part that I would say even that, and this is going back to what Josh Klein was talking about on the show last week. Like, we are not the darlings of the national media. And the reason I bring that up is right now, all you hear is excuses as to why we aren't top 10 because of who we played. But you don't hear those same fucking excuses for the Broncos, who are in a worse situation. Here's the thing. They're like, oh, you guys lost Christian McCaffrey. You guys aren't. Oh, really? You guys didn't lose their number one wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy? Come on now. Like, let's talk about some logic here, guys. Like, this is not, their defense isn't a number one. Their defense isn't number one, and they still were facing the worst teams in the NFL. Like, literally the bottom three teams that you could possibly face in the NFL is who they faced. We faced two of them, right? And then we faced the New Orleans Saints. I hate every time I hear they faced the Saints. They weren't very good. But then they praise the Saints because the Saints destroyed Green Bay, and then they just dismantled the Patriots. Like, the Saints are they a good team? But yet the Panthers are stuck in the back end of this with no respect whatsoever. I do agree that there are still question marks around this team. Sam Darnold hasn't been tested. He hasn't had to be a hero of this team, which is not a bad thing. And until that happens, I don't know what we can really expect from him. And we may see it this week. I have a real fear that Darnold comes out and has his worst game of the season this Sunday. Like, I have a true fear about that.
I don't.
And,
I think he's about to catch fire and momentum right now.
Yeah. But here's the part.
Himself.
Yeah. Here's the thing is, like, if you look at what we've done up to this point, number one defense, our offense is clicking. Sam Darnold is rated as the number 7th in passer ranking in the NFL right now. What he goes from last in the NFL to number 7th. Like, let's talk about something. Like, the disrespect that's being shown is just unreal. And we have so many different weapons nobody's acknowledging. They want to talk about DJ Moore, but they still fail to mention that we have the weapons that we do with Robbie Anderson and Terrace Marshall and Tommy Tremble may even come on strong. I think, like we talked about on the post game, Tommy Tremble looked different. And I think that I'm really excited he's going to get an opportunity. I do feel bad for Dan Arnold because he got shafted bad. But, for the most part, for the Panthers, I'm excited about where we're going. But, yeah, disrespect is real.
Yeah, and go ahead, Tony.
I wanted to get back to one thing with there's two teams on the list ahead of us. I'm not going to over quibble about Denver. They're 3-0. I think we've got the best defense, but they've put some offensive points up, but they've played some shitty people. The teams that kind of bother me on the list ahead of us are the Raiders.
I think the Raiders are incredible right now.
And the 49ers. And the 49ers have just been so hobbled, and they've been eking out stuff, and that's cool. I think it's kind of, leaning on the reputation of Kyle Shanahan in the past is why they're ranked so high. The Raiders, though, should have lost against the Ravens.
They should have lost.
They just straight should have lost against the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have been better than we expected, but I don't think better than us at a 3-0 team. And I'm okay with the Chargers. They beat the Chiefs in this, right?
The Chargers are legit.
Right.
I don't like
the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are 3-0. They've shown,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be too upset about some of this stuff, but those are the teams that bother me. And the last thing I want to circle back to was G. Cavassier's call about Richard Sherman. And I want to tie that to the conversation with our guest, Paul Catalina. And I got to disagree with him that the Bucs defense is all that good right now. They've allowed a ton of points right now. They just went on the road and got smoked by the Rams. And on top of that, they're the ones that are bringing in Richard Sherman into to help them potentially as they head back to New England. And I don't like that's the ad I don't want to add on this team. First of all, look, I don't want to take away from a guy who's had a fantastic career, but who knows Richard Sherman better than anybody? Scott Fitterer. One thing. On top, and number two, I've watched Richard Sherman play for a long time, and just and all the interceptions and the smart articles. He is the most handsy fucking cornerback in the history of the world. He is it's PI on every damn play, and he don't just get called for it a lot of the times. I just don't think that was like, that's such a side of desperation for us. Right. I like this direction of staying young, not putting all your, I don't know. This just feels good. Even if it doesn't work out, it feels like the upside is better than Sherman, who is just get us through the next, 12 weeks, something like that, 15 weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely a Band-Aid, all things considered. I don't think that we have a need for Richard Sherman right now. I know the Buccaneers are a team that has been linked to him. Apparently, he's going to work out for them, I think I read. I agree with you, Tony. I'm with this youth movement, man. This is a young, dynamic team. I think that we have a good chemistry right now. Listen, I'm not going to hold all that other off-the-field bullshit that happened recently against Richard Sherman. I don't know what's going on in his life. If he's ready to play football, then I imagine some team is going to sign him. I just, I don't necessarily think that the Panthers should be looking to add another 30-plus-year-old corner when you have a bunch of really nice young players that are playing really well right now. I mean, frankly, I don't think that we have a real big need for him at the moment. So, let CJ Henderson play, get him up to speed, and let Dante Jackson show him the ropes.
Let's be real. Richard Sherman maybe has a couple of years left, if he has anything. He wasn't playing his best ball in San Francisco. I mean, like I said, there's a reason he hasn't been signed yet. And there's some off the field issues. I think right now the problem that I have with the Bucs are, they're doing well. Don't get me wrong. They did lose in a pretty convincing fashion this past weekend. But I think they're making all the wrong moves right now. Like they are clearly trying to create a legacy team. And if they're reaching out to Richard Sherman, because they're really struggling on the secondary, by the way, I'm telling you guys, you can at me later and get the receipts and everything. I don't care. Right now, I have a gut feeling that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to implode at some point, because they're just trying too hard to make this a headline type of a team, and at some point it's going to come crashing down.
Good guys, hold on. My audio software just went down for my calls, so you carry it for a half a second.
Go ahead, Greg.
I was gonna say, adding on to what you're saying about the Bucs there, CK, I agree with you. I don't think I don't know about implode. I think they're still going to be a good team this year, but they're not going to be what everybody expects them to be. They said in the chat they're averaging 29 points a game. They're giving up on this year.
They're not the same defense.
Yeah, well, they have played the Rams and they've played the Cowboys, which are good, high-powered offenses, but they also played the Falcons that they gave up, almost 30 points to. So They have given up almost 30 points every game. You're right. The defense is definitely not the same, and I don't get what it is because it's all the same players. They brought everybody back, didn't they?
Yeah, well, you get old quick sometimes. Sometimes you get old quick.
They were already old. You have Ndamukong Suh. And you have Antonio Brown, and you have Rob Gronkowski. I mean, your entire team is like, basically it feels like they're trying to bring back the best players of 2009 and make them work as a team. And it worked a little bit last year in the back half of the season, but I think it's getting too cute at this point.
I do think that we need to save some of our harsher criticisms towards a little bit later on in the season. I don't think they're falling apart right now. That after week 6, that's when you start to really separate the wheat from the chaff. And I really do think that this team, I think that we're going to compete to win this division this year. I know at the beginning of the year, everybody was saying wild card, but I'm sort of in between where CK is. I think that, they didn't just get old overnight. They did win the Super Bowl last year, and I do think that they're going to figure it out eventually. They started slow last year too, though. Yeah,
and they went slow this year. They're starting pretty fast.
No, but you know what? The Cowboys gave them more of a run for their money than we thought. And then we're going to get to our picks at the end of the show. I wish I would have had the same enthusiasm on my Friday picks as I did on this show when it came. I picked the Rams on Tuesday, and then I picked the Bucks on Friday. But yeah, I mean, that was a tough. Maybe that's about the Rams. Anyway, well, there'll be plenty of time. Let's not get too like Cody's saying let's not be too down on them just yet. They are the champs, and they are what, 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. They're still doing the damn thing. By the way, thank you to the Sports Blitz for the $4.99 love bomb. We appreciate you, brother. Someone bet me 25 that Dallas will beat us by 13 plus. I should be 25 richer after Sunday. Yes, you should, man. So, yeah, that seems like a good bet. I would take that bet, no problem.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Yeah, man.
Fellas, it's AJ. It's been way too long since I've called.
What's up, AJ?
Listening to the post-game show today while I was at work. Oh, my God. I got a call. Negative Nancy. Come on, Tony, bud. What are you talking about?
No, I have watched
he's not even here.
Man.
Got to make
These
him
guys
replay.
are flying around the field. I haven't seen a defense this fast, and I can't remember.
And
one.
Blake, I'm going to play your video, bro. Don't worry.
J.C. Horn, that sucks. But he could be back maybe 8-9 weeks. Who knows? Christian McCaffrey's hamstring's not even that bad. Watch the play. Greg's right. He did stutter step, strained his hammy, but he continued to run out of bounds. It's not like he couldn't run no more. He might even, who knows what he could do against Dallas. It's going to suck that we don't have him for Dallas because that I would say easily we win that game. Dallas is good, but with Christian, easily we win. And Tony, dude, Sam Darnold, man. Look, I stopped listening when somebody brought the Super Bowl up. I'm gonna go back to finish after this call with the Cam Newton deal. I ain't gonna talk about that, but if you take Cam Newton and put those stats beside his name from this game the other day, Tony, you know your ass will be all up in arms for 300 passing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. You know you would.
Tell him.
Yeah, Sam Darnold fumbled twice. Who cares? We got the ball. We won the game by 2 touchdowns. We beat the shit out of them. We should have had more points. It's okay. It's fine. Here's the deal. This is the best offensive line Sam Darnold's ever played behind. That's why he can manage this line. The interior of this line sucks. I would like to see an upgrade. They do suck in the interior, but dude, the negative stuff's got to go, bud. We are 3-0, man. Like, come on, man. Don't try to sit there and be like, oh, this won't good, this won't good. No, fuck that. Let's play football and just dominate on defense. The offense can do its thing. Let him do its thing. I want to see this defense continue. CJ Henderson, plug and play. Hey, I'm telling you, Dallas ain't seen this yet. They about to get it. There's a snow coming to Dallas, baby. Let's get it.
Shit.
Hey,
keep pounding.
Oh, I knew he would sit down as soon as the
call
call
ended. Dude. Tony
Like-
has impeccable timing, dude.
It's almost as though he read the voice to
You
chat.
knew it was coming, didn't you, Tony?
Tony, you leave right as the caller is taking you to task, and then as soon as you sit back down, the call ends. Your timing is perfect, brother.
Yeah.
What did he say? Tell me what he said.
I mean, he basically
Negative
said that you need to quit being a negative Nancy, man. He said that if Sam Darnold's stats were next to Cam Newton's name, that you would be very complimentary and very positive of what Cam Newton had been doing. You said you wanted to defend yourself, and I think a lot of these calls are going to be going in on you, my man. So if you want to defend yourself,
I thought about it some. I went back and rewatched the game, and I thought that Sam Darnold had a very nice, if not spectacular, second half to the game. I was, again, I think part of – oh, shut up with this. First of all, I wasn't that hard on the kid. You guys acted like I said he sucked.
You might need to watch, man. You were pretty hard on him, man.
You wouldn't let anybody say anything positive without
the turnovers. Well, you guys were like ready to christen the dude and crown him after this performance against the team where he was up the entire time, and he still had some moments where, he fumbled the ball. If it would have gone a different way, if those fumbles would have been recovered by the other team, all of a sudden we're singing a different tune.
That's a fair
right. Now, I do want to put out this is that I listened to Matt Rule's comments afterwards, and he said he played with a lot of guts. I thought he did. I thought, what we saw is a Sam Darnold in the second half that looked determined to not be a bust. Like this guy, and I feel like this is something that is you can almost see in his play more than his demeanor, is that he is playing to show people that he doesn't suck at football.
Yeah.
Here, though, is my argument about why I'm not going to get too quick to be too overexcited. Look, is that I hope Sam Darnold, and I was very complimentary of him through games 1 and 2. And I think this is part of it is that when Christian McCaffrey went down, and I've been starting to believe in Sam Darnold, that I said, here's your opportunity, Sam Darnold, to prove everybody wrong. And then what do we come out and do in that second quarter? Just, it just didn't look good at first. Right. And he did make up for it a lot in the second half.
I think
but it wasn't just lights out for the rest of, as soon as Christian McCaffrey went out. They kind of were dazed. You know what I'm saying? Like we kind of got punched in the mouth and we're like, oh my God. And even Sam Darnold was like that a bit. But in retrospect, I will say this. If Sam Darnold would have done anything less in that game, anything less, 1 touchdown less, 1 completion less, 1 third down less, if one of those fumbles would have been recovered and then turned into points for the other team, and that game wasn't, what did it end at? 26 to
9,
24-9.
24-9.
Yeah.
If that game would have been 17-14, which is something that could have really happened, or 17-13 actually, because they missed the extra point. Because, if one of those turnovers had gone the other way and they scored a touchdown, we still probably would have won. If that was a 17-13 game, I think everybody would have been dogging him about not dominating enough. So, look, I'm very happy in the way that he's played in the Carolina Blue. I hope that he turns out to be the guy that we can be a starter for the next 10 years. But at this point, I'm also not going to crown the dude a little bit. You know what? I want to see him come out against Dallas and play that second half on the big stage at that moment. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to start to say a lot of that's behind him. But what did y'all want me to do?
Well, so what we were trying to say was that there, with this offensive line and the big time, and I want to emphasize, big time third down conversions that Sam Darnold made that were honestly a thing of beauty. And that was also considering that there was no Christian McCaffrey. And listen, you're 100% right. And I said on the post-game show, the wind completely came out of our sails after Christian McCaffrey went down. Everyone had to adjust to that. Joe Brady had to adjust. Sam Darnold had to adjust. Our offensive line had to adjust, and it took some time. And at the end of that second quarter, we were flat. But, man, that second half of football, it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. And considering that right now the Panthers are still one of the worst-rated pass-protecting O-lines in football, it makes the plays that Sam made even more impressive given that kind of context.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, but Cam played with no offensive lines his whole career too. I mean, look, this is what I want to give him credit on.
Former players.
I want to give Sam a credit for the second half, but I also want to remind people, if Sam Darnold is going to be our quarterback going forward for the next decade, and if that's how he's supposed to play.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what you guys told me he could do. It wasn't like above something crazy like that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he had 5 touchdowns and this and that. It was he did a lot of the things that we need him to do. And especially in a world where you don't have a great offensive line and you don't have Christian McCaffrey.
Here's the part that I like. This is where I think the difference is. Like you're saying, like he's doing exactly what we said he could do, right? But you sound disappointed that he's not doing more than what. Like he is already 10 times more, more better. He's already 10 times better than what everybody thought he was going to be at any given moment last year.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who didn't think that he was even going to play to this level.
Exactly.
Well, but I wasn't one of those people, dude. He's like kind of reaching the expectation that I have for him. And this is like what I tell my students and when I tell my kids is don't let me congratulate you for what you're supposed to do. You know, like too much. And I'm not dogging him. I'm just saying this is like you take away those fumbles, then it's pretty sick. Right. Yeah, I had another day. You know what I mean? Is I want to see it continue. That's it. I want to see my man all of a sudden become the star. I want that. I do.
I will give you this. I will give you this on those fumbles. I went back and I was watching and I was listen. That is 95% on our offensive line. There is a part where he is going a little bit far out with his motion, so he is at fault in some degree. But for the most part, that's our offensive line. And so when I look at what our offense did last week, this is where I think a lot of us were kind of feeling like you were down. The best part of our entire offense, including when Christian McCaffrey was on the field, was Sam Darnold.
You guys were all over me all night. It wasn't just Sam Darnold. It's my take this that I'm the give Christian McCaffrey more carries, dude. And y'all, and then I say, well, we feed the ball to DJ. And you're like, oh, don't compare it. Don't compare it.
Yeah, because
the professor.
No. That's not a good comparison. It wasn't.
It is a good comparison.
Still isn't. No,
yes, it
isn't. It's
Can I give y'all
a little bit
a theory that I have, and I touched on a little bit last week with the game because I felt it a little bit after the game too. We won 24-9, but it didn't feel like a really big win for some reason. We play so slow. We don't have big explosive plays. We scored, but we don't have big explosive plays. When I watch other football games, I'm amazed at how many times I see different offenses have different plays because they're on the field so much more. And they even said it in all the reviews I would listen to, not all, but on a few reviews I listened to about the Panthers game on Thursday, is every time you look at the clock, it's 3, 2, 1 hike. Like we never hike the ball with 12, 15 seconds of the clock. We're not a fast playing team and we don't have big plays. So it's not going to feel explosive or exciting until we do, unless we can win like this and be 7-8-0.
The difference here is we've always been playing from ahead.
Yeah,
like we haven't been behind in any game this year whatsoever, and that's what
I think. But that helps Sam Darnold in a way, right?
I know,
if he would have had to come back afterwards and then let us, then it would have made it even more special to me, right? And I will say this: is I'm a fan, folks. I ain't a football expert. What I am is I went into that game wanting us to beat them mugs 65-0.
Yeah.
And I thought we could have, and we didn't. Mm-hmm. So no matter what, part of my perspective is slightly colored by the idea that I was disappointed we didn't beat the brakes off of them even more.
Mm-hmm.
And people said that about the Jets too, man. People were upset that we didn't beat the Jets by enough points. You shouldn't judge your expectations, though. I say you should just judge what's on the field. And I'm
whatever. Don't act like you're the Mr. Objective of life.
From that second half of that football game, when Joe Brady had to lean on his offensive weapons and Sam making some big time throws, I saw it come together. That gives me confidence that they're going to be able to continue to do that. So ultimately, I do agree with you. I want Sam to have that vintage or that true I'm here, I've arrived performance that we all want him to have, because as good as he has played, I don't feel like he has had that, that incredible game.
He didn't even throw a touchdown, did he?
NFL. But again, That doesn't matter to me as much
There were
in
drop
context
passes
of what he was being asked to do. Yeah, he's had two rushing touchdowns.
Get down to the end zone, then you get the false start. I mean, there's a lot of things that weren't on him that go towards that.
But another credit that we're not giving Sam Darnold enough is he is a big, strong, athletic quarterback. I mean, you have to worry about the quarterback run in the red zone, and that's even more that you have to account for. So, listen, Sam has been doing it all. And again, man, he's doing it behind one of the very worst offensive lines in football, man. We know this. We all know this.
But here, if you think all right, you can't just continue. It just is what it is at this point. Right? The offensive line is not going to change really that much. Even if you put in all the people that you say you want it to be, Cody, it's still not going to all of a sudden just accelerate into this great offensive line.
What do you expect from Sam behind it?
Well, my only question
is I expect quarterbacks that, you know what, that's what we got to deal with. Right. And you know what? I mean, this is no excuse zone for me at this point. And I just need him. You know, he's got to do that. He's got to do what he did against the Texans. And guess what? He's probably going to have to do that this week, if not, and more.
Yeah, this is going to be the biggest. This is what I'm excited about. And this is where I said, like, I am with you in a lot of ways, Tony, because you are right. If that game, if he had done anything less, if he had thrown one interception, or if one defensive player were able to make a play on a ball that maybe wasn't placed in the right position, then we're talking about Sam in a completely different light, right? So I think this is an opportunity for him to actually show he can go tit for tat with one of the best in the NFL as far as a quarterback. And let's be honest, I mean, our defense is going to have to bail our offense out. Like, I don't think there's any doubt about it. Our offense is, when you compare it to Dallas's, to ours is not as good as Dallas's. No matter what two ways you look at it, it's just not. All right. Especially without CMC in the mix. So it is going to be we need our defense to be the best defense that Dallas has faced this entire season, which it is. There's no question about that. And we need our offense to actually be able to be effective against a lackluster Dallas defense that people seem to think is really good. But when you look at it, they have not done a lot of incredible things outside of what happened last night.
My only question.
Let's keep going. They're gonna let me have it, I'm sure. And it's okay. You know what? Is that this? If you want to crown them, you crown them.
So, C3, Mr. Frost, talking to you from Swansboro. Holy shit balls, is this what's having a real GM's out? Yesterday, I'm sitting there chilling, not thinking nothing. Look up at the Facebook. Holy shit, we went and got CJ Henderson. I can't fucking believe it, boys. CJ Henderson, and back there with J.C. Horn, A.J. Bouye, maybe some Dante Jackson. It might not be this year, but next year, our secondary just went maybe nuclear. I don't know. It's fucking awesome. One thing kind of bad, I'm not going to be able to do the Arnold, tongue twister the rest of the year. That kind of sucks, but I wish Arnold all best of luck down there in Jacksonville, but I know he's going to probably fucking hate it and want to put the voodoo hex on us for, pretty much sending him to hell. And I'm going to end this out with loving how the national media is starting to get lumps in their throat when they talk about us. They got to take us seriously. All the haters know that we're not here fucking around. I don't know, boys. Might be a special year. You never know. Go Panthers. Keep pounding.
Did you have the sense that our Paul Catalina guy was underestimating our squad a bit, though?
I mean, I did. I felt like he was just assuming that that his offense was going to come in and be able to put points on us, and we're not as good as Tampa Bay. And listen, man, if you're not a Panther fan, I don't expect you to have an accurate view of who the Carolina Panthers really are, especially if you're a Cowboys fan, dude. Like, Cowboys fans have their own level. And hey, shout out to Paul. I'm sure he's a great guy, but, he's a Cowboys fan. And Cowboys fans have certain levels of delusion that is just unrivaled in time and space. So, I don't really know if he was giving us a fair shake. But again, man, respect is earned. And if the Carolina Panthers are going to be respected, we're going to have to earn it. we're definitely going to have to earn it. Oh, by the way, Tony, don't let me forget. Blake Bettis made an entire TikTok dedicated to you, and we got to play it a little bit later.
Please, because he said he sent me something and I never got it.
Yeah, I've got. Yeah, no, I haven't.
Okay, I didn't get it. All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey, Kyle from DA again. Another thing, talking about offense, Chuba Hubbard looks like he still has a lot of nerves because it just, since preseason, like, he can't get his feet under him. Whenever he goes to catch a pass, his feet are already moving. He slips up all the time. But, you know, he's going to have to work through it now. And I think he'll be all right. Royce Freeman looked pretty good. But with the way Sam Darnold's throwing the ball and the receivers we have, we need to put our best players on the line. Like, stop sitting out Deontay Brown. As far as I know, he doesn't have an injury. Let Brady Christensen take some snaps somewhere. Just put him somewhere on the fucking line. I don't know. But the line that they're trotting out right now, that's 85. You got to start making construction on it because the shit that we've been putting out is fucking failing. It's failing. And it's failing as a collective unit. As we saw in Houston, like, Taylor Moton's getting blown up, and that's way out of his characteristics. So you got to start putting in the rookies and give them a fucking shot, man. You can't do too much worse. I haven't been as disappointed with Cam Irvin as I thought I would be at the beginning of the year, but he gets put on skates a little too often, it seems like, to me. And I'm sure there's some other shit I could go over that's blanking me right now. DJ, please fucking sign him. Like, I like Robbie, but I don't know, maybe we should sign DJ first. In my opinion, like, DJ's our number one, no, undoubted. DJ's a certified baller. What else? Oh, Tony. I hope this CJ Henderson news cheers you up, man, because that post game.
Tell them.
Jesus Christ, dude. I like listening to the podcast most of the time when I'm going to work because I got an hour ride to work. So I can listen to it on the way to work and on the way home. And, dude, Tony, you were so fucking sad, man. It's like we were 0-17. I wanted to drive off the road into a fucking tree, man. I hope you're feeling better. I really do, because I don't know if I've ever seen you that sad before. Anyways, guys, as always, keep pounding. Let's go beat Dallas.
Keep pounding, baby. Tony, I'm telling you might not
play
be
this
aware.
TikTok right now. We're gonna play this TikTok right now. But did y'all not forget that we lost our best offensive player? We lost J.C. Horn for the season. We played a team that I thought we were going to just smoke the mess out of. You know, I mean, I want to be, and I could see. Actually, I can't see because I got to go back and listen to myself, and I don't even want to now. I think that I got myself too hyped before this game. And I got to say, I told my wife this is the first time I've felt confident about just beating somebody up before a game in a while. And you know what? We still did. We still did. 24-9. We did. But I wanted to like ruin Mason, whatever his name, Davis Mills' life. I wanted to hear a poor David Culley segment after the game. And we did. But shout out to Tommy Tremble. Did we mention that he's the youngest player in football history or something like that to have a rushing touchdown?
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Did you not hear this? Yeah.
No.
He's 20. The youngest player before him was Gronkowski. It was 22.
youngest tight end. The youngest tight end. Yeah.
Was it tight end?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
There are receivers coming out every year that are like 19, 20 years old.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But how about this? Tommy Tremble is having a better year at tight end than Kyle Pitts. So that's
so crazy,
man, the fourth pick of the
He's
draft.
got cool hair too. Have you seen Tommy Tremble's hair?
Dude, he looks like a beast,
Tommy
man.
Dude, I'm telling you, after that game, I know like it's overreaction to think about this after one game. I said it earlier, like he feels different to me. He feels like he is that kind of player. Like, here's the part that I think we got to keep in mind. Not a lot of tight ends. A lot of the best tight ends in the league aren't first rounders. And so I think
who's been saying this? Who's been saying this?
Oh, you always said, yeah, absolutely. Like, you've always said that, and I think that Tommy Tremble showed a lot of what he's capable of, and I did not realize how athletic he was. But
by the way, we really didn't get a chance to talk about this. Tommy Tremble is part of the reason why I really don't care too much about losing Dan Arnold. They've really been playing. They've really been playing Ian Thomas a whole lot anyway.
Right.
It doesn't seem like they're going to lighten his load. Even on that 30-yard pass to Tommy Tremble, they used 2 tight end sets and they gave them both a vertical route. And I like that because you don't know if we have them in to run block or to pass protect, or if they're going to be running down the field, catching passes. So I love that double tight end versatility. I really feel like, especially last year, people criticized the lack of tight end usage out of Joe Brady's system. And I think this year we're going to really rectify that and see a lot more touches for both of these dudes that we've wanted to see a lot of, both Ian Thomas and Tommy Tremble.
Can we see this TikTok?
Yeah, man, let's do it. This is courtesy of our very own C3 Panther faithful, Blake Bettis. Without further ado. What the fuck?
Good morning, USA.
Oh, you gotta log in.
No, it's the way that it's.
Hold on, give me a minute. Let me. Of course,
Lord.
this shit's
I don't have TikTok. I do, and my kids use it. My kids use it. All right, while you're doing that, you want to go to another call, or are you ready?
Yeah, do another call. It's acting
all right.
Yeah.
Hey, fellas, it's AJ again. I just wanted to, after I got that call out of the way, I just got to talk about Christian for a second, because too much of this talk about, how can I say it, overworking this running back, blah, 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 blah.
Which I agree.
This is what needs to be understood. He's a running back, right? He can also line up a receiver. He's a hell of a player. You only have a certain amount of time for a running back to be in their peak. So if we had that peak, that little diamond, and he's on our team, and we just decide to, well, let's make sure we don't throw him the ball too much or running too much because, oh my God, we don't want him to get hurt. If you go into a game like that, that is what you call wasting someone's talent. Cam Newton was here for I don't know how long, and we did a terrible job with the Mike Shula era.
Yeah.
As the offensive coordinator helping Cam Newton. The calls were trash. People around him were trash. And we wasted that time frame. That window. Now, Cam can't help the injuries that he had and everything. But enough of that. This is about Christian. Christian McCaffrey was shelved last year when he didn't need to be. And it's fine. I'm good with it. I understand why they done it. He could have came back, but it's fine.
Yeah, agree.
He tweaked his hammy. Oh my God. Let's all panic. No. It happens. It's fine. But you don't try to limit this man. He can't help if he's open. He can't help if he's in the backfield and we call a run play. When the ball touches his hands, big things can happen. You got to use that, or you just, whatever. If we get a big lead, I understand, yeah, maybe take a few carries off here or there, whatever. But enough of the talk about we're overusing him. Oh, God, no. You use that man, and you die on that horse. He's not a one-man show. We got weapons all over the field. The only contract on this team I don't like is Robbie Anderson because I feel like he's on his way out. Terrace Marshall next year is going to be above him. DJ Moore, he's good. We don't really need Robbie after this year. I hated the 2-year deal. I just wish it was 1, but whatever.
I'm all right with the Robbie deal. I think just as we've been feeding DJ so much that's why people are kind of underestimating it. On top of that, a lot of people agreeing with the caller here, and I agree with the caller. As nobody said, let's protect Marshall Faulk. No one said let's protect Alvin Kamara, right? I disagree with the idea that we shouldn't have shelved him last year. Like, I thought that's the right move. And I also disagree with people who say that Christian McCaffrey is injury prone. What we've seen is he had 1 injury season, which was last year.
Right.
Prior to that, he had been remarkably durable for all of his time. And we'll see how much this hamstring leads to something else, right? If there's more injuries beyond this hamstring, if it lingers all year and then there's something next year, then I'll get into the injury prone conversation. I just feel like that's a little too recency biased for my take. All right, let's see what we got here.
All right, this is Bleav Bettis' TikTok. Hopefully this works.
After wrapping up week 3, we had some interesting storylines develop. Justin Tucker sets a new NFL record. Christian McCaffrey goes down with a hamstring injury. And to no one else's surprise, the Jets still suck. We are now going to debut a new segment where we go across the whole league, across the whole country, and we try to find somebody who has a ridiculous take or a crazy idea about a specific player or team. Some people might call these type of people Karens. Some people might think that we might be a little harsh with this person, but this is the purpose of this segment. We are looking for the King Karen. Now, the Karen who is king for this week goes by many names. Some call him the Professor. Just recently, he's garnished a new nickname, T-Baby. It's brought to you by the C3 Panthers podcast, and we call it Catching Karens.
Hello, it's Karen. Hello.
Only people that are having a problem with what Sam Darnold did tonight is you and G Baby.
Like Sam Darnold also didn't sit back.
Oh yeah,
he's a goat, man.
Come on, just tell me how he's a goat.
Oh,
no, that's the problem. That's the problem.
I'm with G Baby.
You think we're putting him on a pedestal and saying he's the goat? We're
All
not saying that. All we're saying is he's not doing bad.
But if you really think that this was like a statement game for Sam Darnold,
it was. It was a statement game because he lost his weapon. Hold on. He lost his weapon in the face of pressure by a horrible offensive line. Okay. And guess what? In the second half, we went 10 for 13.
Now, there's been speculation around the league that the Professor, a.k.a. T-Baby, could use a My Dog and a Snickers bar. But, we'll leave that over there to the team at C3. Thank you for joining us today. This is Center Sports. And remember, watch out for those Karens.
Oh, shout out to Bleav for the content, man. Watch out for those damn Karens and them damn T-Babies out there not giving Sam Darnold the credit they deserve, man. Shout out to the homeboy Bleav Bettis. Tony, or should I say T-Baby, what do you have to say to yourself, man?
I guess I'll have to ice up, son. And speaking of, how about this for y'all asses?
You know what?
Oh,
fuck that shit. G, baby, I'm calling you out. You motherfucker. Okay? Listen. It doesn't matter how it happens. What my man Herm Edwards say? You play to win the game. Okay? Yeah, I don't want to hear about what Darnold's doing or blah, 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 blah. Okay? You play to win the motherfucking game. And that's what we've been motherfucking doing. All right?
Hey!
Okay? Now,
holding it down.
I say this offense is vanilla. Me personally, I love vanilla ice cream.
Hey.
Okay? My wife is vanilla. Okay? I love vanilla everything.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, I love everything, but I love vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
All right? It's not costing us any games. Think about it. Maybe it's vanilla right now against these scrub-ass teams so we can throw out that chocolate later. You know what I'm saying? Or Rocky Road. All right? Or butter pecan. You know, whatever
There
your
we go.
fucking ice cream is.
Hey,
Whatever your
match,
favorite
baby.
motherfucking ice cream is.
Put it on now. So we can fuck motherfuckers up later.
Oh,
I like this guy.
All right. So, calm down, Panthers fans. It's all good. All right. And
I might
who was it,
escape this
CK?
call.
I think CK mentioned it this past week about how people are saying that McCaffrey's injuries are because his calves are too fucking big. You know what I'm saying? Too many motherfucking muscles on that motherfucker. That could be true. Now, if you look at it, I wish our O-line was better because he ran 2 yards just to injure his hamstring, trying to make something happen on a 2-yard play.
But he not non-contact. It was nothing. It had nothing to do
But
with his
we got the
usage
Cowboys
or.
Excuse me, cowgirls. Fuck them. Oh, wow.
I don't think that. Does anybody who in here believes that the Christian McCaffrey injury, this specific injury, is directly correlated to his usage? Not me.
I don't think it is at all. And I actually asked the question of, do you, like, if this happened in practice, do you make the same argument? Are people saying we use him too much? You know?
Amen.
I mean, listen.
Amen.
I always keep it real with y'all. I'm still asking and still want to see further confirmation that Christian McCaffrey is not an injury-prone player. And that doesn't mean I don't love him.
What about his first 3 seasons? What about his first 3 seasons without injury?
Yeah, what have you done for me lately, man? That's what the NFL is. I'm sorry. That's true for absolutely anyone. And the reason I say that is because even in the Saints game, he had to leave the game for a minute and stretch out. I love the dude. I want him to be out there all the time. But if he keeps on having these injuries, then yeah, we have to keep having honest conversations about Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, listen, there's not a big enough of a sample pool. So I'll give you the sample pool that we do have. His first 2 seasons, he wasn't injured. His first season, he took maybe half the snaps because Jonathan Stewart was taking the majority of the snaps, right? Okay, so that meant his next season, when he got a bunch of touches, he was healthy. After that season where he was a huge part of this offense and got a ridiculous amount of touches, he gets hurt the next season. And then he gets hurt again this season because we started to use him the same way. It's hard to say that it's not.
JC Horn injury prone. I mean, it's
hard to say. Listen, it's again, that part is we haven't utilized JC Horn. It's a different question. You're not talking about asking if he's injury prone because he's being used too much. You're asking, like, JC Horn doesn't take the amount of hits that Christian McCaffrey takes. Let's be real about something. People want to talk about Derrick Henry, and this is where I agree with. Like, he is a running back. Play him. You're paying him to run just like you pay Derrick Henry to run. I agree with that. But you got to also keep in mind the different body types that these two guys have. Derrick Henry's body can take these hits.
But a hamstring has nothing to do with being hit. This goes back to like what I thought they said about Cam is, oh, he took too many hits. You know why he took too many hits? Because he had a shitty offensive line. He didn't get hit when he was on the open field. I think I'm with Greg, is that if this would have happened in practice, all of a sudden you can't be like, oh, what do we practice him too much? Right. If anything, I think it was Hugo brought this up in the chat. I think it's worth having a conversation to go back and look at how many injuries happen on Thursday Night Football with the quick turnaround.
I would agree with that.
You should not play on Thursday Night Football unless you're coming off of a bye. That should be the number one rule. This is why we need 2 byes in the NFL system. Another thing to think about is it always feels like every time I see a Panthers player put like an insane workout regimen in the off season up, that they're the ones that get hurt. maybe it's not the amount of carries. I mean, like at some point, look, is these guys, Christian McCaffrey and these guys are pushing their bodies to the limits in training on the field. And I think I'm with the caller on this, is that a hamstring, this happens. This happened. Now, I will say, all right, if it, like I said, if this lingers all year and it leads to another injury and then we have something next year, then I'm ready to have that conversation.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is about usage, though, at this point. When I see him, I don't see him just getting beat the fuck up out there. I see him beaten up.
No, my
people don't say that about Kamara. Kamara had 9 carries in the first 2 drives, or the first drive of the Saints game. And nobody on the national media or anything like this is like, well, we got to look out for the health and safety of Alvin Kamara.
But
you also got to keep in mind, he did have cramps last week as well. I mean, and you got to.
It was like 100 degrees on the field,
right?
Too.
Right, but they were also down in Houston, and yeah, they might have been in a dome, but there's still going to be a heat component. Like, I mean, these guys are still coming off of the offseason. It's not like Christian McCaffrey wasn't even used in the preseason except for in practice. So, I mean, there's still a possibility that it's just a matter of he was brought into this offense a little quickly with the amount of usage that he has. That could be a part of it. It's hard to say. And everybody's right. I mean, this is football. People get hurt. People are always hurt. It just sucks that it happens to Christian McCaffrey, and it seems to happen within the first 3 games of the season for the past couple of years.
Yeah, and, Christian McCaffrey is a player that we all want out there on the football field. We need him out there on the football field. Right. But, I mean, I'm just continuing to be honest about what I see. And if he continues to deal with these injuries, then it's going to be a problem, him being the focal point of our offense.
I don't remember you saying we need to – I don't remember you talking about Curtis Samuel being injury prone. And that dude is never plays. He never plays.
Tony, these comparisons that you make are so bad. Because
they're not. They're not. You just don't like them.
They're not bad.
They're not bad.
They're bad. But you're not running Curtis Samuel through the A and B gap. You're not asking.
Actually, you kind of were a lot of times. Most of his success was when he was playing running back.
Primary focus. And the fact of the matter is, a wide receiver is not going to get his ass beat like a running back does. They just don't. Running backs take way more punishment. It's not the same thing.
Why isn't then, like, we don't have what do defensive linemen not take the same degree of punishment? Do offensive linemen not take the same? You don't know. You're like, we're playing our left tackle too much.
There are certain positions that take more damage than others. Offensive line, defensive line.
And you're not saying the center's playing too much.
Highest. But again, the center and what he does for our team isn't as versatile as what
taking Christian, taking him off the field. Taking him off the field is a fucking travesty, dude. Taking the best player off the field, no matter what, is a goddamn travesty.
Yeah.
But you got to keep in mind, Mike Evans comes out. Every one of these guys aren't their entire offense. Like the best player of the Saints team was Michael Thomas. Yeah, he got a lot of receptions, but he wasn't or maybe Alvin Kamara. I don't know. But, he wasn't 40% of their entire offense. Alvin Kamara isn't 40% of their entire offense.
He has been for the last 5 years, pretty much.
Alvin Kamara has not been 40% of their entire offense.
Michael Thomas.
Go check last season. Go check his rookie season. And those are 2 of his 4 seasons.
But Tony, we're also adding in the injury conversation to this discussion. He was hurt all year last year. And then, if you're going to use him all the time, then, you have to manage these things. It's called load management. And the best teams in the NFL do it even with their running backs.
Name a team that does it. What team does it?
Dude, what team plays their running back on as many snaps as the Carolina
Tennessee
Panthers?
And New Orleans. Tennessee and
Minnesota.
New Orleans. The Chargers. Minnesota.
Yeah.
They
New York,
North on 98% of snaps. I just don't buy that, man. But he's in on 90. Austin Eckler is in on 98% of snaps. Even still,
well, first of all, like, is that if he's in a running back capacity or wide receiver capacity is one thing. The next thing is that using load management for Christian McCaffrey now versus when we have weapons versus a team. He's not our entire offense right now. That's bogus. And it's not true.
It's also
it was last year. It was the year before.
He was 40% of our offense. Christian McCaffrey was 40% of our offense this year.
For the entire season.
For this entire season so far. He
in volume,
40% as far as yards
of everything.
Production.
Yeah, if
yards
you look
in
at
production.
and the amount of
volume.
time he got
of touches. He does not got 40
volume.
I
He
think
has 40% of our entire
total
offense.
yards gained. I could probably see total yards gained. But here's the thing: is that 98% is a very skewed or very deceiving stat, because that doesn't mean that he's touching the ball on 98% of the plays.
Right.
Or he's the guy who's pounding through the A gap on 98% of the plays, you know?
Thank
it just
you.
means he's on the field.
Right.
You know? He may be
how many snaps was the quarterback on for 98?
On the field. Again, it's not the same.
He's not playing running back half the time.
Quarterback doesn't get hit like a running back does. It's not. You can
I don't know,
make
man.
that
I think a
comparison.
quarterback
Ask RG3.
Comparison. Tony,
No.
you can make that comparison for every player on the field and say, "Oh, well, the left tackle has to play every snap, so why can't the running back?" It is not the same thing. You can't do that for every position. We're all just saying that Christian McCaffrey, that especially when you're lining him up at receiver, you're asking him to pass protect. You're asking him to run right up the middle, and then you're asking him to do it all behind an offensive line that isn't very good in the first place. Like,
no one
Christian
said
is
this
having
about
to do a
Marshall
whole
Faulk.
lot.
Not a single person ever said take Marshall Faulk out of the game. And you know what is what if he had, and here's the thing is y'all act like 5. It's like, oh, if we load manage it, but what is it? 5 carries? Is it what
how many less
would
carries?
fucking make you happy?
Yeah,
like not 40% of our entire offense. I'll tell you.
And
that
how about
much.
this?
Alvin
Not
Kamara had
running
his
him.
best. Alvin Kamara had his best year last year, and he was 30% of the New Orleans Saints offense.
And how about
that's
not-
another?
and how
That's
about
another.
not- But my one thing, how about not running Christian McCaffrey into the dirt on the final drive of a Saints game where we're already clearly winning, and you know you have a Thursday night football game?
I'll take that one. I'll take that.
Why
That's
is
the
he on
only
the
argument I've heard.
I
And
agree
don't
with
act like that's the only one that I've heard.
But here's the thing: the 40% of the offense is another stat that's deceiving too. I'm telling you, stats can be deceiving, because if that's just in total production and yards, here's the thing: if he has, say, DJ Moore has 4 80-yard catches, that's 4 catches. He can be 40% of our offense for this year with 4 80-yard catches. So that stat can be deceiving. Just because he's the best player and he does the most with the ball when he has it and gets the most yards doesn't mean that he's at 40%. Like, I'm just telling you, I agree with Tony. I don't think we run.
And on top of that, how about this? Is that y'all all sucking damn Darnold's D after this game because he did it without Christian McCaffrey, right? And then you're trying to tell me that on top of, so you want to protect the man who you believe is at the most expendable position. You truly have said that, is that the running back is the most replaceable position. And I tell you, it's not true on this team. Christian McCaffrey makes our running game look competent, and it hasn't been good. The run blocking on this
like we're saying that we're better when Christian McCaffrey is on the field and that we can just do whatever he does without him on the field. No one is saying that. We're saying that it's load management. That it's true.
You've also said you shouldn't have paid him the money in the past. You've also said that. And you also said the reason that is because you can plug and play different people in a lot easier at that position than other positions. But then all of a sudden, it's so important to protect this guy at this point who is so dispensable.
He's not playing, is he?
Well,
it's a hamstring injury, dude.
He's hurt.
I've also got to ask you,
is hurt.
Two
right,
questions.
Next. Go ahead, Greg.
How much less is like better? Like 3 less catches and 3 less rushes? That's
my point.
Would that be? And 2, on most of those passes that he's there, he's not the first read. He's just the open guy. He's the check down that happens to be open because he's so damn good. He's always open.
Can I
do you not want them if Sam Darnold's
no, you're just gonna say some arbitrary shit like less or 10 or 4 less than 40.
Hold on, if Sam Darnold's in the pocket,
the Panthers are winning in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, like by 2 or more touchdowns, That's the time when you give Chuba Hubbard his touches.
Okay, I can agree with
If we're
that. But
playing
listen,
from
Which has
behind,
only been one game this
dude.
year.
if Sam Darnold's in the pocket,
And
okay,
he wasn't in there at that point.
and he goes through his progressions and nobody's open, but Christian McCaffrey's running his drag across the route and he's open. And you get the ball to him. Should Sam Darnold say, well, he's already had 3 catches this game. We don't want to overwork him, so I'm not going to throw him the ball. No, you're going to throw him the ball, man.
No one is saying that. No one is saying that.
No, they're saying put
Absolutely
Chuba
no
Hubbard
one
in
is
there who
saying
can't catch the ball to protect Christian McCaffrey from getting a hamstring, a non-contact hamstring. Oh, he gets beat up so much, so he injured his hamstring in the open field. Beating his hamstring took.
But where was he last year? Oh yeah, that's right. He was on the
One, he was
sideline
being protected,
got
like the
fucking
caller said, is he
blindfolded.
could have come back. He could have
Right.
come back, but we were protecting him.
I believe that.
We were
I believe that
protecting
wholeheartedly
him
too.
But I wanted
protecting him for himself from getting hurt once
No,
more.
from needless this is is for like we have nothing right now. The season is already at the brink. We're playing for the draft pick. I mean, hell, we didn't play him against Washington. We still won that stupid game. So it's like what, protecting him from himself? No, that's bullshit.
Can
The
I?
most-
You want
the
to
best player in the NFL?
You want to hear
We'll pay
something
him to play
crazy?
for 2 more years, and then he'll be done.
We
Because that's
said-
what's going to happen.
We said that Christian McCaffrey
then we had 5 great years with him.
We said Christian McCaffrey was 40% of this offense, not just in yardage, in actual touches. He was 44% of the entire touches of this offense. That's entirely too much for any one player to take on their shoulders. Period. 44% of the entire season of touches has been Christian McCaffrey.
How much has DJ Moore been of it?
DJ Moore, I'll give you the exact stat here. Give me a second.
Like when it comes, all right, let's go to the next call as you do.
Hey guys, it's Joey. I heard about this trade yesterday, and the second I heard it, I thought it was a bit, like, why the hell would we do that? Because Sam Darnold and Dan Arnold were, they were gelling together. But then it took me like a minute later, and then I was saying, man, the ball's on Scott Fitterer. I was loving that trade a minute after I heard it. Because we're better than, our defense was the shit. And they didn't want to see, and no one wants to see it go down just because of the loss of one player. So what do? You get, you call the Jaguars, and the Jaguars, I don't know if they're dumb or they just start, they get a lot of value for Henderson. So what you do is you trade the tight end. That's probably not even the best damn tight end on the team, although the quarterback, he might think so, but I love me some Tommy Tremble. The coaching staff, obviously, I think they see something in him. They got it, because if my blind ass sees something in that guy, the coaching staff does. But yeah, I think it's not, you don't give up much. He's not the best tight end on the team, and you get a replacement for a real good player, and you hopefully keep this defense rolling. And CMC being out, spread the ball with him. If I want to talk more about that, I'll make another call. Say, hey, getting cut off. Anyway, guys. Wow.
What's the number, CK?
15% of our offense is DJ Moore.
So 55% of our offense has been between 2 players. Now, is there any merit to the idea that Christian McCaffrey's usage could be slightly inflated? Not the statistic, not the so I'm saying the 40% is accurate, right? Like, I'll give you that. But because we've never trailed in a game this season, like, doesn't that lend us towards more of an offense that should be predicated on a run game by that point?
Yeah, it is.
If you're ahead the whole
right.
time.
You're absolutely right.
So I just think this is that, and even this is, if I wonder if you started looking at what the other receivers were, there's a lot of people that are screaming for the idea that we haven't got Robbie involved enough, that we haven't done a different things, but right now, none of the other backs have shown themselves capable. I still have said this all season long, is that Christian McCaffrey, this offensive line is better at pass protection than it is run blocking. And the only reason our run game has been any good is because Christian McCaffrey is freaking sensational, right? Like, I mean, you see it. I mean, he's about to get blown up. He makes a jump cut and then all of a sudden makes a 0-yard gain turn into a 3, right? So he's been great and he played great in those games. Now, let's not beat this horse so much because we've, but is there any, I saw somebody talk about today that the Colts had a healthy Marlon Mack and may be interested in trading him. Is that, should the Panthers be preparing for maybe not life without Christian McCaffrey, but life where he does need more load management?
I don't think at this point. I think it depends on what comes out with this hamstring injury, and I think it depends on how Hubbard looks, or Chuba Hubbard looks. Yeah, be honest with you, because why look somewhere else if Hubbard's there and he's serviceable? I wouldn't see any need to look anywhere else.
Well, I think people went a little nuts with his gameplay last year, like, because there's 5 or 6 yards of carry or something. But again, he's struggled in pass protection. He has not been able to catch the ball. And not all of them passes have been easy ones, just like they weren't easy for Christian McCaffrey. I saw Christian McCaffrey, one of the most sensational catches I've seen all season on a swing pass from Sam Darnold, where he one-handed it off the turf, basically. But it's just what are we going to do? We're going to just go full Chuba Hubbard and Royce Freeman. Is that all right with you guys?
Really, we have no choice. It doesn't matter if we're okay with it or not. I think that now there's going to be a clear delineation between how we would use our running backs in the backfield. I think they're basically going to be in on pass protection, and they're going to be running the ball between the tackles. I don't know how confident our coaching staff is in any of these guys being a meaningful pass catching back. I think we've all had a lot of criticisms of Chuba Hubbard catching the football. I think what this ultimately does is it just opens up our passing attack and it differentiates it from our rushing attack. We don't have any high-level pass-catching running backs, but we should be able to rotate with Royce Freeman and Chuba Hubbard, and Chuba Hubbard is going to get the majority of those snaps. But again, and I said this on the postgame show, that this is a blessing in disguise, us not having Christian. And the reason why is because now we are going to open up the playbook, and now we're going to really see what Joe Brady's play calling is actually made of. And I think that we saw that on display in the second half, getting Tommy Tremble involved more, getting Terrace Marshall involved in the passing attack. Even Erickson was able to get some. King Recent in the chat room also mentioned earlier, let's get Robbie Anderson involved more. So it's like the Panthers offense doesn't have any reason to fall off of a cliff just because Christian McCaffrey is out. And that was my point. If we're too dependent on Christian McCaffrey and we can't mount a reasonable offense without our best running back anyway, then we're dead on arrival. We have to be able to do other things and do other things well. And I think we should be able to do that.
Do you see all these stats that Brandon's putting in the chat room?
These are all people before these cats times. On top of that, I will say Emmitt Smith went on and had a very long.
I know these people.
I mean, I know you've heard of them,
right?
I've done more than hear of them.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Still a different time.
Hi there, guys. First time caller, all the way out here from sunny California.
What's up, bro?
Marcus.
What's up, Marcus?
Wanted to let you guys know that you guys kick ass. You guys totally make me laugh whenever I'm at work. When it's listening to you guys, pass the time. All I gotta say is after Thursday night's performance, Carolina Panthers are 3-0, baby. Woo!
Let's go.
I don't give a shit about what anyone else says. My Panthers are undefeated. Yo, listen, all I gotta say is you guys are riding on Sam Darnold way too much. The kid got the job done.
Guess
what? That's all right by me. Now, let's go ahead and let's say this defense. This defense is number one. Now, what other subpar offense ran all the way to the Super Bowl on their defense? That's the 2008 Steelers. 2008 Steelers had a 20, a top, like a bottom 20 offense. They had to ride that defense all the way to the Super Bowl championship. So don't fret. Let Sammy D do his thing. Let the California kid ride this wave, because you know what? Our defense is going to slay. Our defense is on fire. Now, granted, we don't lead the league in interceptions or fumble recoveries, but we do lead the league in sacks. And you know what? I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. Because on third down, we sack that quarterback, make it 4th and long. Yo, I can't be any more happier with my team. I love watching Brian Burns out there flying to the ball. I love watching Shaq Thompson out there finally break out. Because, yo, I've been a Shaq Thompson fan since we drafted him. I love what he's been doing out there. Respect to you guys. Peace out.
Good call, man. Thanks
Peace
for
and
the
love.
Thanks for the support. And, man, keep calling in. We appreciate that enthusiasm. All right, let's keep rolling through these calls.
Yo, guys, it's Nick from up here in Mass.
What up, Nick?
I call in, lay my thoughts on this, on us reaching out to Sherman. Now, look, it sucks losing JC. You know, that was the injury that hurt the most, at least in my opinion.
Right.
While Christian McCaffrey is a very important piece, we have other weapons on our offense that could use a few more carries, use a few more catches, that sort of deal. Robbie Anderson, he's the big one. DJ Moore has taken over as that wide receiver one, and quite honestly, that dude, you know, he's balled out over the last few years. Right now, he's rated as the 5th wide receiver, like the top 5 receiver in all of the NFL, and rightfully so. The last 2 seasons, he's had a couple of backups thrown to him, or players that should have been backups thrown to him, and he was able to rack up 2 1,000-yard seasons as a rookie. You know, so I'm not necessarily hurt about Christian McCaffrey going down, especially given the fact that he'll probably be back in a couple of weeks, even though this hamstring injury will probably stay around. But for Sherman, I mean, look, first off, he's still dealing with some legal issues. And I don't know if you guys have ever listened to that 911 call and sort of from his wife. It's not exactly, it's not that it doesn't disappear. There's going to be something from it. So that's one to keep in mind. Now, granted, I haven't followed up on anything, so maybe it's already dismissed from court or something along those lines. But in my opinion, the only reason to sign him is if we honestly think that we're going to make it into the playoffs pretty far and go and have a very good chance at going to the Super Bowl. I think it's possible, but I think the biggest hindrance is going to be the O-line. And for that reason, I don't know if we should sign him. You know, it sucks losing JC. It really does. But
I feel like this was recorded before
the amount of
CJ.
money that he's going to want.
It was.
Our O-line looks worse than garbage. Okay.
Since we've had that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next call. On top of that but I agree with it. Even at that point, I didn't know if that's just all of a sudden going to, it seems like a Band-Aid on top of it. This is what we got right now. Actually seems like we sutured the wound. All right. 252-228-5098.
Boom, 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 boom. Hey. You know who the fuck it is.
All right, chat room. Here we go. Brace yourself.
Booyaka. Oh, my goodness. I feel great about this fucking defense. CJ motherfucking Henderson. Welcome to the Carolina Panthers, baby. Yes.
Bro, Duke Evans is a little bit bipolar, I feel.
He's got a wave of emotions.
Yeah.
Oh
he goes through the waves,
I didn't wait
bro.
to call into the cat calls today, boy. I had CJ Henderson #1 on my big board in the 2020 draft, of last fucking season. Go back and go listen to the fucking calls. I had CJ Henderson rated on my number one on my big board over Jeff Okudah, over any fucking defensive player, offensive player in 2020 draft. Go listen. And for us to give up Dan Arnold and a third-round draft pick and receive a fifth as well in return, oh my God. We just knocked the fuck out of the Jaguars. Oh my God. Oh my God. We get CJ Henderson in the second year of his rookie fucking contract. Are you kidding me? This is beautiful. Scott Fitterer, you got my brownie points, boy. Oh my God. And you want to know what's crazy, boys? Oh my God. This defense, first Panther Nation, this is G, baby. I need you guys to listen to me. This fucking defense is young and bright for the fucking future. Like, oh my God.
So, G, why do you believe in it now, but you didn't last week?
This is fucking.
What the hell?
So check
He
this
was on
out.
the offense last week.
We got Dante Jackson, 25. J.C. Horn, 21 years of age. Jeremy Chin, 23. C.J. Henderson, 22. Our secondary is fucking bad, not to mention A.J. Bouye is fucking 30. Okay? Brian Burns, 23. Derek Brown, 23. Gross Matos, 23. Are you fucking kidding me right now? And then when you got fucking Jack Johnson, 27 in his prime, but Hassan Reddick, 27, both in the motherfucking prime. The future is bright, boy. Oh my God.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's right. It's awesome that the strength, this defense is so strong and so young. Again, like I referenced that Bill Belichick comment where he said his team was young and they're like 26. He said the youngest 26. We got Tommy Trimble's 22. I think that hopefully what this signals is that the future is bright for the Carolina Panthers. And that's why I like the CJ Henderson move more than I would have liked the temporary move of Richard Sherman.
Right.
Oh, by far. Not even
if you think about it, like this is basically the same conversation. This is a complete opposite situation that you have with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's window is very small, right? They don't have a very large window because they have a lot of old age on that squad. And this is basically a lot of those guys' swan song to try to go out of the NFL on a super high. And they're hoping that they're able to do that. And they may be able to continue to play at a high level. But our window right now, if we can put everything together, our window is a decade or more. Like with these players, with these key players, what we need more than anything is if Jermaine Carter Jr. isn't the guy, we need to get a guy in that position. And that is more important than that would be the biggest piece that this defense needs to be able to move forward and have like that dominance for years to come.
Well, the biggest challenge for this team is going to be paying all these guys. But
Exactly.
I think if you look ahead to where the numbers are going to come out, the Panthers, if they can not make any bad deals financially in the near future, like we're about to have a windfall of money in comparison to what we're used to. And I mean, but there's going to be, this could be complicated by if Sam Darnold turns out to be great and you got to pay him, all of a sudden that's going to get things complicated. We do have him for another year. I mean, so this but you got Brian Burns, you got Hassan Reddick, you've got and you're just hoping that you can keep replenishing people where the rookie deals work. That's why it's so important to hit on those early picks so much, right? Is because they give you a little leeway of time. But we have a lot of work to do on the offensive line side. You're going to have to worry about paying DJ. You're going to have, I mean, there's still a lot. Our window might be we're a young team, right? And that's going to give us an advantage. But the window is only open for so long for anybody, right? And so you better start taking advantage of it when it is open. Right now, it just feels like it's opening wider than it is on like being closed. All right. You're on mute if you're talking or he's typing. Are you typing?
Yeah, I am. No, I wanting to know what G Baby, like he goes through this roller coaster of emotions. The last time he calls in, he's getting on to us because we were being too hype about the Panthers. And hey, man, you've seen this before. Every year we start out hot and then we motherfucking fail and motherfucking. It's like, bro, are you hype about this football team? Or are you tepid that it's going to be a dumpster fire? Like, I'm pumped, man. I'm the same kind of pumped you are, dude. This is a way better move. What the Panthers did in Richard Sherman. As you alluded to, we have a young player on a rookie contract. We haven't even mentioned yet, Tony, that 60% of the money that was owed to CJ Henderson on his contract has already been paid by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, what
So
I
he's
did
a
learn is
sleeper
this.
for us.
I've learned this year, and I never knew this with all of this, is that when you trade a player, the guarantee money stays with the original team. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people that signed him to the guaranteed money have to pay that money. So, like, when you trade a quarterback, it doesn't save you a ton, because what it is that it was guaranteed to them at the moment they signed the contract, but the NFL just has this clause that you can spread it out. But if you move them, cut them, or anything, it's accelerated to that day. So that's why they're paying that much. I'm doing the best I can, Joey. I'm doing the best I can. Your call was like the last one, man. There's like so many people you like trying to cut the line all the time. Trying to cut the line. I mean, for real. Like, I mean, it's like the last.
Is he even blind?
Yeah, right. We don't even know. We need to verify.
Joey again. You should really play my first call about. I touched a lot on.
I did play it,
but I just want to say that Tony, being that old, you know, sounds like he drank way too much beer. Talking about why pick a first.
Man, it was 2 o'clock in the morning.
The first round. But I have to give it to the professor. He's kind of right, because you know what? I mean,
back in the line.
Kyle Pitts.
Back in the front of the line.
offense that he's on, I mean, that offense is in the pit. And, you know, refer to my first call about Tommy Tremble, see what I think about him. But then another thing I wanted to touch on, I probably won't make it up this far because I am back to full-time working, so I have to go back to work tomorrow. Are we better without CMC? And I know people are going to be like, "Oh hell no!" And you're probably going to get off that call
to the back of the line.
Give me the G baby treatment, but please don't, because I don't suck like he does. But when I say that because we spread the ball a lot more. We're so unpredictable for defensive coordinators because, I mean, I'm sure they can, but the Dallas Cowboys, you know, they had to prepare for playing the Eagles. If they're on a short week, we could confuse them because we're not going to go to our security blanket, Christian McCaffrey, all the time. You know, we have Ilster, we have Tremble, we have Marshall, we have Moore, Anderson, all these other players that Darnold is more likely to go to because his security blanket's not there. So I just want to know what your thoughts are on that, assuming you made it this far on the call. Anyway, guys, I can't wait to do Cowgirls. I fucking hate these fans. I got somebody at work that calls us the Possums, but I keep telling them our defense is awesome, and we're going to find this stupid quarterback and fucking toss him. Anyway, guys. Wow.
Thanks,
right.
Joey. I let you back in the front of the line, not because you're blind, but because you said I was right. And then I had to kick you to the back of the line when you said we're going to be better without Christian McCaffrey.
All you got to do is stroke Tony's ego and then go right to the front of the line. Those are the rules.
All right, next.
Welcome to politics, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, me motherfuckers, I'm back. Yes. Oh my God. Like, I don't think you guys. This is, and it's safe to say, like, I have to say this. This is the best secondary Carolina's ever had. Like,
quite possibly.
What? CJ Henderson. Listen, boys. Listen.
On paper,
CJ Henderson is another J.C. Horn. But he's more of a fucking technician, and he's still a motherfucking dog. And he's 6'1". He's actually a little bit bigger than J.C. Horn. He's 6'1", 205. J.C. Horn is 6'1", 200. We got both of those in the back.
5 pounds, baby.
I thought it was vice versa.
Along with Jeremy Chin, Dante Jackson, and then we got AJ Aboye. This is what we need to do. Listen, if JC Horn's out the entire season, then it is what it is. Fuck it. But the future is still bright. But if he does end up coming back, we should put AJ Aboye at free safety and move Jeremy Chin to strong safety, and then you have JC Horn and CJ Henderson and then Dante Jackson. Oh my motherfucking God. Booyaka, booyaka, booyaka. I swear to God. Booyaka. Oh my goodness. And if JC Horn is out this time season, yo, fuck a Justin Burris, bro. I've never been a fan. He's like a 65 on Madden. Like, fuck that motherfucker. Carolina. Put him at free safety, move Jeremy Chin to strong safety, and then you got CJ Henderson, AJ Aboye, and fucking Dante Action Jackson. There you go. Like, but the future is bright, boys. The future is bright, and this secondary,
yes,
my God. Like CJ Henderson, man, like I'm telling you, I had him number 1 on my big board. I'd take CJ Henderson over JC Horn. That's how high I am on CJ Henderson. We have the 7th and 9th pick of the 2020 NFL draft on this motherfucking defense. Are you kidding me, Scott Fitterer? Hey, yo, if this dude is sucking dick on the low, look, yo, hey, motherfucker, you keep sucking dick and keep making these motherfucking moves because this shit is beautiful. This is the shit I like to see. I'm not a fan of Sam Darnold. I don't give a fuck. He's not going to pan out. But the future is bright. And what we are doing on defense, yo,
sucking dick for
yo, this makes me so happy. I love this. I love.
Okay, G baby, don't nut. Don't bust a nut, bro.
Welcome to the motherfucking squad, knuckle.
Welcome to the.
You gotta love my man's passion, though. He brings the energy.
When
you guys see this, is that the RAS scores for these guys are, in which they say that Matt Rule loves these like athlete people.
Yeah.
Is that JC Horn is the only person that's like scored higher than CJ Henderson, and similar height, similar weight, bench a little bit better maybe. One's like, but both of these guys. Oh, JC Horn's CJ Henderson a hair faster, right?
JC Horn had
on paper. This is.
Had a higher vertical by 4 inches too. And listen, G baby, we don't even need to nitpick and compare and contrast who's better, JC Horn or CJ, because dude, they both ours, baby. CJ and JC, that's us, man. That's bro. We got both.
But it's gonna be a long time before we see them on the field together. It's gonna be a minute before. So let's not get overexcited yet. Let's see. I hope CJ Henderson comes in here and has a good season. Because imagine the hype we're going to have for that secondary next year, particularly with, So I am excited. I mean, look, again, good move for our needs and our kind of culture, right? Of what we're trying to do, young, athletic, coach these guys into it, and hopefully he'll be more excited than that video when he got drafted by the Jaguars when he joins a defense, which I think I said this. It was, I don't know if it was in the post game or last week, but you remember like when they're all celebrating, they're buying it. Is that, I asked Josh Klein this, is that, is this like message that Matt Rule is like team, is it falling is it kind of not going to work with the pros and the old dudes? Or is it really working? And when it comes to the Panthers defense, man, maybe it's because they're having so much success right now. It's easy to be excited when you're having success. But they're celebrating each other's successes so much. Mm-hmm. It really just feels like they have bought into it so much. And hopefully that mentality will inspire CJ Henderson to play to the potential that all the draft nuts said he would. All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, this might be a call you want to save for like a little later in the podcast or near the end because I'm doing a list. I'm just calling about like the most important Panthers players in history, not just based on skill, but the most skillful and the most important to the growth of the franchise. So who helped grow the franchise the most? So I'm not going to be talking about the Cowboys. So if you want to save this call for later, that's fine. But for me, it goes number 1, Sam Mills, obviously. Number 2, Cam Newton. Literally, I know as a Panthers fan growing up, like literally no one talked about them until Cam Newton came on the scene. Like he is the reason anybody knows who the Panthers are. Steve Smith is right behind him, but there were a lot of seasons where he played amazing. Don't give a shit because, he was on a terrible team. Number 4 for me is Luke Kuechly. I mean, he is probably, for me, he's the best linebacker, all-around linebacker in NFL history. I know there's a lot of hard hitters, a lot of good linebackers, but mentally, like I've never seen anybody like him. And I don't know, I think he's easily number 4. And number 5 is probably going to be controversial. A lot of people are going to immediately think Jake Delhomme, and he was very strongly considered. And you think it's close, but really it's not. Number 5 is Sean McDermott. It's not even close. There is not a coach in Panthers history that is better than him. What other coach outside of Sean McDermott has had success outside of the Carolina Panthers? Ron
From
Rivera,
a defensive
technically,
perspective, yeah.
I don't know. He might. He's never going to win a Super Bowl. And John Fox, who I think is an idiot, and Vic Fangio, he was a D coordinator back in like 95 to 98.
Yeah.
So really, what coach? I'll ask this question. Do y'all think there is a more important or better coach than Sean McDermott, not counting our current coaching staff, in the history of the Carolina Panthers? I don't even think it's close. Sean McDermott is easily the 5th most important person. Without that defense, we don't get to a Super Bowl. Without that, like you could say, oh, he's carried by Luke Kuechly, but you could also argue that he was a huge part in Luke Kuechly's development. He was a huge part in that whole defense development.
True.
Like it's not even close. Without him, like we don't go to that Super Bowl, and like that Super Bowl really changed a lot for the franchise. And I really felt like people still remember us because hey, they were in a Super Bowl within the last 10 years. I really felt like that turned around our franchise. So I really feel like it's not even close. Sam Mills, Cam Newton, Steve Smith, Luke Kuechly, in that order. And then number 6, I have Jake Delhomme. He's not in the top 5 because Steve Smith and Moose were such a huge part to that success. And that's another thing to my point. And I don't think we've never had a good offensive coordinator. Like never like a great one. We've never had like a prolific offensive coordinator. So I don't think an offensive coach would make it on this list either. But Jake Delhomme's number 6. Number 7, I have Greg Olsen because he was the only fucking person that Cam Newton had to throw to, like, when shit acted.
All right. Instead of us doing the list, why don't we do this? Are there names missing? I'll put one up there. I mean, and I don't know what order he needs to be put in, but Jordan Gross locked it down for a minute. And without him, we've never had the solidarity of the offensive line that we had at some point. Other is Thomas Davis.
Yeah,
I really felt like he became the heartbeat of our team, like the leader, the kind of the embodiment of Sam Mills to a certain degree.
You took my pick, man. What you look like going around here taking 2 picks at a time, man?
How come we've gone through this many players and not one person said Julius Peppers? Yeah,
especially not Tony too.
I just couldn't. That's why I was going absolutely crazy. Like, don't get me wrong, Sam Mills. I get it. The story's great, but statistically, in my opinion, of course, there's no way he's at the top. I give him he's in this list, but you can't. Julius Peppers is not even in the top. You named 6-7 players, and Julius Peppers wasn't even one of them.
We've done this debate before, and it always gets very divisive because we all have. I want to say we all have different people as our number 1 most important Panther of all time between the 4 of us. And it's like there is no one universal answer as much as people might like to think that there is. I mean, you can make just as good of an argument for Cam Newton, for Steve Smith.
Very true.
And by the way, I do want to shout out our caller in that he doubled down on Sean McDermott. And I will agree that Sean McDermott doesn't get enough credit for coaching the 2 most vicious Panther defenses that we've seen in the past decade, that 2000 2013 team and that 2015 team. And if you look at what the Bills are doing right now, like, yeah, that guy was a damn good he's a damn good head coach now. He was a damn good defensive coordinator when he was here from us. And yeah, he definitely needs to get his flowers, man.
And really, is Ron Rivera in many ways hasn't been the same since he left. You know, I mean, it was tough shoes to fill. I'm trying to think of anybody else that's missing on that list. Yeah, I mean, look, and I think that he said not to the best player is like the most important, and right, and so I think that that's why the Julius Peppers for me. Well, he was important for the first 5 years, like super important, but I'm going to argue he's our best player ever, like the best player ever on the field for us. But I agree that, like, I think you should put Cam Newton and Steve Smith when it comes to most important player for the Panthers ahead of him. Some different things like that. Trying to think, are there any sneaky people that kind of deserve like a tip of the cap? And one of them to me is like Ricky Manning Jr., who had like 27,000 picks in that year we went to the Super Bowl or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt like he had a good year, kind of like that one Deshaun Foster run against the Eagles in the NFC Championship was like very important to us. Mm-hmm. So thanks for the call. We'll come back to it again, I'm sure, many times. Let's keep going. There's two more.
Thanks for the podcast. This is Jerry Jones, Dallas Cowboys. And I saw the call.
Hey, Jerry.
Y'all some breaking news. The NFL has added a 33rd franchise expansion team.
It sounds like
they're going to order me, Jerry Jones, a second team. And I'm putting that team in Dallas. You know, Dallas is known as America's team. This second team is going to be South America's team. Dallas boys in the NFC, and we're going to have the Dallas Cows in the AFC. And we're going to split a roster. And we're going to go to the Super Bowl and make everybody happy every year. And we're going to bring Jason Garrett back to coach against Mike McCarthy. If Mike McCarthy don't wake up, we're going to replace him with Melissa McCarthy. And if Jason Garrett don't wake up, we're going to pull a Joe Biden and we're going to dig up some dead registered voters and we're going to get Tom Landry in a fedora hat on the sideline coaching again. And I bring Terrell Owens out from retirement so he can play with Dak Prescott so he can say, Dak's my quarterback. But I just thought I'd let y'all folks know that Jerry Jones is here with two NFL teams. All right, folks. That's Chuck from Elizabeth City, a.k.a. Carolina Sports Guy. And I just want to let y'all know, do you know the only difference between Walmart and Jerry's World? Walmart accepts cash and credit. Everybody knows the Dallas Cowboys fan base is the most plastic fan base in the NFL.
All right. Thanks for the call, man.
Hey, guys. This is Steve.
Shout out to Jerry Jones.
You guys are doing great.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey, Steve. A couple of points I'd like to make. I can't wait to see Dallas on Sunday and hopefully whip their butts pretty good, and then maybe we'll get a little bit of respect because, you know, it's always about the Cowboys, as you all know that. I want to talk about Arnold for just a moment. Sam Darnold. I saw a lot of great plays from him. If you look at the game, the last game especially, there were a lot of 3 and third down plays with 9 to go and 10 yards to go. And he had a whole bunch of those things. So a lot of there were third down plays. He converted a lot of them, and I thought that was a really good move. We'll get by without Christian for a while. We need him back whenever he comes back, but I feel good about this team. I like the trade we just made, and our present looks good, and our future looks even brighter. Take care, guys. Bye, and keep pounding.
Shout out to my boy Bill in the chat room. Thanks for we're up late, and that was the last call actually of the night. So we get to kind of go before we get to the cat calls. CK, do you have your vid powered up?
I can.
I wanted to put it up when we had 200 people on, but then we started arguing. What we're going to do is we're just going to I want to show you guys something our boy CK made and in his continued effort to take over the world through creative influence. I thought it was really awesome. We're going to have the ice up picks in just a second. Mine's going to be a positive one. Like, it's not even an ice up. It's like just something I got to play for y'all more than anything. And I started Loki, by the way. Greg?
You'll like it. You'll like it.
All right. Let's.
Are we
let's
going to
go
do
ahead
the picks for the week? The game picks?
Yes,
for the
we
week?
got to do the picks too. And I got. And by the way, as you tell me, I don't know anything. I'd like to point out, not you, that old Cody is 1-3 in last.
Oh Lord!
Okay.
All right, we'll fix that.
CK,
We'll
you
fix
got
that.
it for us?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, let's see what you got. Look at this thing that my man created, and then we'll have him tell you a bit about it before we go. Craig, can you pull up the schedule while he's doing that for who we're playing?
I've got it ready to share. Let's pull it into the show.
Oh, I got to pull it. I got you. Here we go.
Let me know if you guys can hear it.
No, I don't hear it. You gotta make sure that you when you share it, you gotta share the volume and the StreamYard.
Do I do that?
No.
He does it whenever he.
Yeah, there's a little box that you check at the bottom when you pick what you're sharing.
Do you do entire screen?
I'm gonna pull it one more time so you can.
Yeah, just bring it up, and then we should be able to just throw it up.
All right, hold on 1 second. Where'd it go? Oh, I exited out of it. That's why.
I took
Sorry,
it out.
guys.
Because I took it out to put it back so we can put it back. Fresh start.
Hold on, let me redo this. Sorry, guys.
No,
it's okay.
I got the schedule pulled up though. Get a question.
If I share the video file itself, you don't think that'll work?
Nah, it's too big.
Hang on, let me check. Hold on.
You got it?
I think I might be able to play it.
All right, tell us while they're pulling it up. Tell us who the matchups are this week. Panthers at Dallas.
Oh, you wanted the NFL schedule? I thought you wanted the Panther schedule. Hang on 1 second.
No, like who we got? The Falcons are playing somebody they could beat.
Are you ready?
Washington. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's see this video. This is great for you guys that are still tuned in. Hopefully the people that are listening to audio, go check it out. We'll tell you where you can find it after you play it.
Every day that I wake up, I have a choice. I can choose to give in to the doubts, the insecurities, the constant fear of where I come from will dictate how far I will go. But I choose to Bleav. I am good enough.
I like this part. Oh, wait a minute.
So I will fight until my dying breath. You know who I am.
I'm just saying.
I got it.
Oh my God! At the end of the first quarter, Christian McCaffrey went out of the game. What happened in the second quarter? We didn't adjust because we had a game plan that was really predicated on TNT.
I feel
I am Codizzle Allen.
It's even better if we're not sharing it and you go watch the original file. There's no jerkiness and or anything to that. CK, tell them why you made this and how they can help support your goals.
Yeah, so there is a program called the Pipeline Corsair Scholarship, meant for content creators, and it's a really once in a lifetime opportunity. And so basically, there's a lot of different things that they offer with it, but just understand it's something that I've been kind of applying for all year. They do it every quarter, and I've like the first time they did it, I know I'd come close, but I wasn't there, But what I need you guys to do, if anybody would like to, number one, I would like you guys to go and watch the video live on YouTube. And then, obviously you get the full effect. You won't have the audio. The audio is going to be 10 times better than what you heard there. And obviously the quality is going to be a lot better as well. So go show that some love. If you guys can, just hit a like and just leave a comment. If you guys find that it's interesting and you guys want to sub to my channel, by all means do that. But definitely if you guys are willing to do that, that would be super helpful for me.
Yeah, man. It's like when that, first of all, he made all this, edited all, and even flew the damn drone to pull all that footage up to his own window. I love how it goes up to the window. It's so much smoother if you watch it just directly on YouTube. So you guys please support our man CK, and just by giving him a like and a comment, and it'll go real far. And these small things do help us a lot. They can help us as well. Just go ahead and subscribe, like, and all of that. Let's go ahead and jump through these picks real quick. And I know Panthers are playing Washington. Here we go. From last week, Tony, the professor went 2-2. Cody, you went 1-3. CK, you went 3-1, and Greg went 3-1. What happened is Cody, you were on the island picking the Bucks. That one hurt. We all were hype about the Rams at that moment. I don't know why. I wish I would have stuck with it for my Friday picks. We all lost the Falcons at Giants. We split. Both Cody and I took the Pats. CK and Greg took the Saints. And everybody took the Panthers. So let's start with the Panthers at Cowboys this week. Who's going to be the bold guy that says we're going to lose? I don't know.
Not me. Panthers +4 is a spread, but nah, I'm not taking it.
I think we're all taking the Panthers, huh?
Yeah.
We have to.
I mean, if you don't take the Panthers this week against the Cowboys, you are in a really bad spot as a Panthers fan.
Tough, man. I'm not gonna lie. This is a tough game.
Here's
a tough game.
Here's my prediction for the score. The score is they're giving the Cowboys they're giving us 4 points. I think that we win, but we don't win by more than 4 points ourselves. We still obviously us getting the win will cover, because we're winning and we're given free 4 points, but I don't think we win by more than 4 points.
Okay. I'm worried about their passing attack, but what I'm just kind of consoling myself on this is that it's not going to be there because we're going to get after Dak more than he's ever seen.
Right.
And I think we're going to have to stop the run. They're going to, this might grind down to be a lower scoring game. Cody, you said it could be a explosion game, but really our defense is going to have to play fantastic. And the Sam Darnold that played in that second half against Houston is going to have to show up with more even.
Yeah, it really is. And to be honest, I'm not predicting a very, I think it has the potential. It could be a shootout, but I really think that this Carolina Panthers defense is going to continue to do what it's been doing. I think CJ Henderson is going to come in and be able to do big things right away. I'm still interested to see what we plan on doing with AJ Bouye and how we use him in this system for the first time since he's been a Panther. So I'm really excited. I think this defense has what it takes to punch this Dallas Cowgirls offense square in the mouth. And I think we're going to, man.
What's your confidence level, though? And what I mean by that is I'm picking the Panthers, number one, because I want them to win, right? Like I'm trying to will it into existence. This is probably the first game we're not favored in that we've played this season. On top of that, the other is I do think it's a road game and a big environment on a team that is kind of flying pretty high, that is very explosive on offense. I mean, so it's going to be a great matchup, a great offense against what I think is a great defense. But bringing in a new player, not having JC, some of those things, they add up. Right. Yeah. And CeeDee Lamb is sensational. My confidence level was a 10 or a 12 against the Texans. I would say it's like a 6 here. What I mean by I'm picking them, but I could really see a scenario where it didn't happen.
I mean, I'm more confident than if it were the Texans. I mean, the Texans do obviously think you're going to steamroll. Yeah, I mean, I think that they're gonna test us, but I think this Panthers defense will not break, and I think that we're going to. Dude, I wanna just, you know what, fuck it, dude. I'm going all in. We're gonna hold them to under 14.
Wow. All right. Okay, Greg, who's next on the
Giants at Saints, and Saints -7.5.
Yeah, I think Saints cover as well.
Yeah,
we're just doing this.
We're all going to have the same record next week. Like there's going to be no makeup. Everybody taking the Saints here.
Who's winning the overall right now?
Split between you and Greg.
Hey, Greg, let's just keep it even all the way across, man.
I'm going. I mean, I can't pick the Giants. They've screwed me too many times. I picked them in week 1
at New Orleans,
and I said, "Oh, these guys are going to be the bad team that upset the team." I thought all of a sudden they might be better than they were last year. Turns out they're worse. And then we all picked them last week to beat our dreaded, hated Falcons, and they couldn't even do that. They're terrible, man. I'm not picking them all year. All right, who's next?
Tampa Bay at New England. New England -6.5.
Yeah, we're all gonna have the same picks.
Yeah,
but hey, man,
who's picking New England? Not me. I mean, anybody want to talk about?
I'm starting Tom Brady. Like, I think Tom Brady's gonna, especially after coming off a loss. I'm definitely starting Tom Brady in New England in a game right off a loss.
I know
like,
he's going to go and just scorch earth policy against New England.
I so badly want to take the Pats here, like so badly, but there is no part of my existence that really believes they're going to win.
No,
I think it could be it's a possible upset, because I think that the Tampa Bay probably believes they're going to beat them as well. And when you start having a team that kind of buys into their own hype, I think that's what Tampa Bay is. And I think they might fall trapped to that. But I don't think that this is the week where that impacts them.
Cody, were you the one that sat Mike Evans in week 2 or something like that?
Yeah, I had Mike Evans.
Don't do it this week. Don't do it this week.
Definitely won't. I'm expecting Mike to have a big game, but yeah, I'm also going Tampa Bay.
Right.
I think they're going to go up there and get it done.
Final game is
who do those Falcons play?
Washington at Atlanta. Team. It's Atlanta +1.5.
I will take Washington
for no reason at all. Myself, as I am too.
And it'll be more than a point. I
Dude,
say that
Matt Ryan could beat this team. Their defense, Washington, has been such a letdown, man.
And
I'm
taking them. I think a lot of people are predicting that the Falcons might have a stretch to kind of roll off a few.
Hold on.
Yeah. This could be a game they might get back on track. Taylor Heineke looked, regular.
Matt Ryan is
just underwhelming right now, but everybody's got to have a get back on track game. Like, this needs to be a get back on track game for Atlanta, and it really needs to be a get back on track game for Washington football team. I'm taking Washington because I hate the Falcons.
So, but you were saying how terrible they were. Was you going to take them over? I guess that just speaks for how terrible Atlanta is too. So
yes, that's exactly what it is.
I just because everybody's taking Washington, I want to take the opposite team, but because it's Atlanta, I can't. I got to take Washington too. I just can't take Atlanta. I don't think I'll pick Atlanta all year, no matter what game they're in.
I mean, I'll pick them if I think that they're going to win, but I just don't think there's anyone that you can really trust them to win against right now. Dude, Matt Ryan looks old, man. I'm sorry. He doesn't look like like Tom Brady or any of these other older guys. Like, that guy cannot run. He cannot escape the pocket. And that offensive line also is not very good either. So I think with Chase Young and those guys. Yeah, perfect. I just don't ever trust the Falcons to do anything.
And so is everybody taking the Washington football team?
Indeed.
All right. Well, this was a boring pick week. Everybody. All right.
I don't think there's.
It'll sort itself out.
The biggest question mark out of all of these is, in my opinion, our game. Like, that is everybody else's is pretty. I feel like almost easy to choose. I I think ours is going to be the biggest question mark because it could really go either way.
All right. I guess now it is time. Well, that's it. We've done the picks. I had all this pulled up earlier, and then now I got to bring it back up. The last part is the longest running segment of the show, the Ice Up pick. It's where we ice up, tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. It's our homage to Steve Smith. Does anybody got a good one? Because if not, I got this one that's just fun.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, let me see. Let me make sure I share my screen right.
But winning is always a top priority.
Hold on. Oh.
The gentleman with his hand raised in the back.
Yes, excuse me.
All right, here it goes.
When your family gathers around a
man, these damn. All right, I do. Oh, you know who I actually going to ice up in the meantime is the NFL the NFL.com. Why are they the only website in the world that has every ad, like the ads all are audio right away? Like, so you can't even peek at NFL Network saying at work,
right?
Without, I mean, like, is that mute the and they're just random videos that aren't related to the thing. All right, so this is the New York Nets press conference. No, the Brooklyn Nets. Excuse me.
The gentleman with his hand raised in the back.
Yes, excuse me. Hi, Kevin. Could I borrow your notebook? I didn't bring. Thank you. Dave from Basketball Digest. Kevin, KD, why do people call you KD? Can I call you KD? Or? Yeah. Okay. My first name is Kevin. Right. And my second name, my last name. My second name. My last name is Durant with a D. KD. This year, what percentage do you plan on giving on the court? 90, 95, 100, 110? What are we looking at? 110. 110. 110. I just got off the phone with the Dolan family, and they said that they're talking to the commissioner now. They're looking at working a contractual deal that will allow you, when you're not playing for the Nets, days off, you'll be able to play for the Knicks. Comments? All right, Dave, that was the last one. I'm sorry, was that a comment? That's it. How about you? Do you have a comment? Wrap it up. Okay. I'm being told my time is done. Have a great year. What about the Pelicans? When you guys play the Pelicans, does it kind of make you giggle? Yeah. Okay. All right. That's all I got. That's it, everybody. Thank you.
And listen, look, that guy.
Okay.
Look,
hold on.
Good job, Dave.
You did a good job, Dave.
I have to go make some calls now.
Tough act to follow. We'll go to Brian Mahoney, Associated Press.
What do you want to say about
that guy? He went the extra mile and actually got him to crack a laugh at the end. Dude, sometimes you just don't give up. Shout out to that guy, man.
That guy is Dave Letterman crashing
I thought that's who it sounded
yes,
like.
Yes, and crashing the Nets press conference. And just hilarious. And I wish that we could have some more things like that in life. My man said, I got to write that down. He said, let me write this down real, Kevin.
Was that a
Oh, man, I didn't know it was him at first. And I was listening to that. And I was just dying, man. Like, but there was a cool joke about the days off because of how many days off these cats take. And on top of that, Kyrie wasn't even at this joint. So there's another kind of subtle thing. It was awesome. Dave Letterman's new hobby, crashing press conferences. You're welcome to Carolina anytime, bro.
David Letterman is winning retirement, by the way.
Yes, he is. So for those who don't like to have fun in the world, I say ice up because Dave Letterman does. All right, who's next?
Yeah, I guess I can go next here. So listen, I'm a diehard MMA UFC fan. I have been for years. And if you don't know anything about John Jones, he might be the pound for pound best fighter to ever step foot inside of an octagon. I mean, when you look at his record, it's a who's who and he only has one loss on his career, and it was a bullshit stoppage because of an illegal elbow, which an elbow that shouldn't even be illegal, mind you. But John Jones cannot get out of his own way. This is Chandler Jones' older brother, the older brother of the defensive end for the Cardinals. And John Jones was being inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame for his fights. And he literally gets to Vegas, and then within a few hours, he is arrested on domestic assault and battery while in Vegas. And keep in mind, if you know anything about John Jones's career, this is the first in many, many, many instances in his career where he has done a bunch of dumb shit that has sidelined him from being the true all-time great that he actually is. And it's actually really sad, man, because John Jones really is one of the best fighters to ever do it. And this guy is going to turn his own career into a joke. Believe it or not, that's not exactly my ice up, though, because a newspaper in Quebec ran a photo of who they thought was John Jones, when in fact it's actually Daniel Cormier, who is not only John Jones's biggest rival, but looks absolutely nothing in the world like John Jones.
And has not been arrested for domestic
and
violence.
has never been arrested for domestic violence, dude. So, bro, I think one, I'm icing up John Jones just for destroying what could be a legendary MMA career. And then for this dumbass newspaper in Quebec that's just like, yeah, there's a black MMA fighter. I'm sure that's him. Run it, dude. Dude, what the hell are you doing, man? Yeah, man, ice up to all parties involved. That's just it's a sad state of affairs, man.
We should ice us all up in the chat room for not getting the best joke when I played my video, though, when he said, "Hey, I'm Dave with and then I started asking those questions. Did we say, did David Newton get a new gig? All right, who's next?
I can throw mine up there real quick. I'll share a picture here. So I turned my TV on the other morning in my bedroom, and I don't know the way plasma TVs work or anything else, but I'm pretty sure that whenever you turn it on, let's see, it's not supposed to look like this. Yeah. Can y'all see that?
Sorry, we both were on the.
So the thing is,
when Cowboy fan TV right there.
Yeah, when you're watching a TV that's broken like this and you're watching Peacock, you're really just watching ACOC, which kind of sucks. But the main thing is, when I bought this TV, I bought it with like a special warranty, so that way anything that happened to it covered anything, right? And it was a 3-year warranty, and I bought this TV about 1.5 years ago. So I called the people to tell them what's going on, and I they made me take pictures of it and everything. I'm trying to file a claim. They sent me an email today saying that it's not covered because the TV is from damage.
Because your kid threw a remote at it or something?
No, nothing happened to it. It's the TV in my bedroom. I don't know. It just started doing this when I turned the TV on, and that they said that they wouldn't do the warranty because it was damaged, like other than mechanical or whatever. And I showed them in the warranty where it covers everything, physical and everything, and they refused to give me the refund for this TV. So now I've got to go above their heads, and it's all through email, and it's all state. Is what sucks, because I bought it.
You 9 million hours to get this.
It will, man. And TVs are so cheap now. Yeah, TVs are so cheap now, man. I'm thinking about just biting the bullet and just getting a new one. But
then they win.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna start tweeting them, man. We're gonna start tweeting them. You hit the mugs on Twitter. We'll all retweet that mug. We got your back.
Hey, that's true, because I did that with, I can't remember what I did that with last year, somebody, and it got a bunch of retweets, and then they DM'd me. That company DM'd me and started talking to me about things. But yeah, it's there's this company called Purchasing Power that like government employees, armed forces or anything can use, and it's basically like it's like a credit card. But they have like just about everything on there. You can buy vacations, furniture, anything you can basically think of. And instead of you paying for it, they just take allotments out of your paycheck for a year. Yeah. The only thing is is it's more expensive than you would buy at retail. So like this TV, I paid like $700 for, but in the store it was like $550. So it's like buying it on a credit card, but you're paying the interest and the extra charges that you pay, because there's no interest is what they tell you, but you're paying more for it. But either way, it comes out of, small payments out of your paycheck. It doesn't matter too much. But yeah, man, this company's just dicking me around, and it's really pissing me off, and I don't think I'm ever going to work with them again.
Obviously not. All right, to them, ice up. CK,
Ice up.
You got one for us?
Yeah. I want to ice up these podcasters that sit at home watching games, thinking that they know about Christian McCaffrey's body more than he does. Sorry, I said I guess us up because we do tell him, like, he's the one that wants to go out there, and at some point you just got to be like, these guys are fucking adults, let them do what they want to do. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt. But I guess it's just how much I just want to ice up how serious we are about these things in our lives, because we love this team so much. But in all reality, it's a drop in the bucket compared to what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, I'm sure. But I'm icing myself up.
All right. That's this. Does anybody matchups real quick for this guy in the chat? What are some key matchups? Number 1, CeeDee Lamb versus our secondary. 2 is I think what has been looked like a pretty good pass rush against the Eagles. I'm not really I wasn't scared of before the Eagles. I thought that there was, so Michael Parsons versus, or whoever you guys get to generate the pass rush, whoever our running back is. But it's going to be like, what is yours, Cody?
I am going to say, believe it or not, I'm going to throw you a curveball, and I'm going to say it's going to be a matchup between the coordinators. Our very own Phil Snow versus their offensive coordinator. I believe his name is Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore.
And then vice versa, too.
Everybody likes him really well. And look, that's another thing, too. I would love nothing more for Joe Brady's offense than to just dice up Dan Quinn. Fuck him, dude. I don't give a shit about Dan Quinn. I think both of our coaches on both sides of the football are better. I want to see our coaches take a big step forward. And, Matt Rule talks about winning programs and franchises. They win consistently. So even though we lost Christian, even though we lost JC, I don't want to hear that as an excuse. I want the Panthers to go out there and put the beat down on the Dallas Cowgirls like we're supposed to.
It's really the front four. It's going to be this is a trench game right here. If our defensive front can create havoc, that's going to give our secondary the help it needs, right? Yeah. And if our offensive line can give Sam Darnold some time, that's going to generate an offense that we know we're capable of, despite not having Christian McCaffrey. That's the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, we're here chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinion. We've got lots of material coming out. Tomorrow night, who do we got lined up?
Yeah, we have Miss Sheena Marie from Carolina Blitz is going to be joining us. We're going to ask her about the CJ Henderson trade, what it means for this team, what it means for Dante Jackson, and what she thinks of this Dallas Cowboys matchup that we have coming up. So, yeah, it'll be fun.
Post-game show after the game, Friday, free-for-all on Fridays, the Madden preview to come, I hope. And Thursday, yep. And that's it, guys. Let's go ahead and get out of here. It's late.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for your support, folks.
There you go.
Everybody keep pounding.
Keep pounding.